So we're on now. We're on. The podcast is on now, lads. So do not, under any circumstances, say anything that you've just been talking about.
Anything that you might regret.
Anything that we can be sued
used
for.
as evidence against you.
Sideline's gone.
Schoey's knacking the
sideline's gone.
The pitch, the Seville pitch.
It's like Tommy Makers a drop it ball on Saturday.
It's like Oddsall. Crumbling in front of our very eyes.
To be fair, Phil, this pitch don't cost $400,000 a year.
No, and to be fair, Bradford could play on this pitch.
And there's some people here.
They could.
They've only got a year at Dewsbury. They could come here.
They could come here and play on the table of tat.
I
got told off anyway for talking about Bradford too much on my Twitter. When are people on social media going to realise, right, if they don't like what you say, they don't have to follow you?
Absolutely.
And then when you block them, they get all angry then and start being even angry with you. What's the point in that?
But also as well, mate, right? Again, a letter in the League Express, a guy's making 4 points, and the second one is Gary Schofield, stop making predictions because you're embarrassing. You know what I mean?
I didn't know they printed my letter this week.
And also, but if you like a bit, go against it. We're not from there. But at the end of the day, it's only.
Are you a stooge for the bookies? Is that what it is? You're a stooge. They tell you, right, who do you think's going to win? Right, tell them you're going to back someone else.
Everybody will go against. But
we're on.
No, we're on.
We're not. We better start the show. But at the end of the day, I think you're a stooge for the bookies.
But at the end of the day, it's only, somebody's opinion on whatever we see, isn't it?
I do think that is a very good lead into the fact that we should all be wearing sackcloth and ashes this week.
Should all be wearing what?
Sackcloth and ashes. For being so wildly wrong with our Challenge Cup prediction.
Well, in fairness, St
Has
Helens
it
are top
turned
of the
out in
table by...
reality?
Can I, and we will discuss our brilliant Warrington.
72 people are waiting for us.
We're not started. I thought we started.
No,
so we've not started now. The podcast's 20 minutes old and then we started the show.
Whoever downloads the podcast, they've got some gems.
No, we're starting now.
They have.
I thought we started about 5 minutes before. We were slagging everyone out.
All right, okay. Welcome along. Warrington, well done you. You proved us all wrong. Brilliant. Absolutely outstanding win for them. And a lot of people said, oh, you're going to say how good they were. Yes, we are. We made our prediction. We got it wrong. I'm annoyed, actually. I'm really annoyed at myself because I've been saying for months on this show, I don't think Saints will win anything this year.
Correct.
You did say that.
And I went for I just couldn't see how Warrington were going to win the game, but I didn't envisage Warrington playing like that. We'll get your thoughts on that. You can get in touch. Loads of you getting in touch as well at 4020 Live on Twitter. Get in touch YouTube, Facebook. Get stuck in, really. We mentioned social media last week and people being idiots. It's happening more. I just had a message from someone about some abuse they've been receiving online. Why? Why are people so horrible?
Well, could I just
What's the point?
We will talk about the key issue at the beginning of the game where a potential try wasn't referred to the video referee. But the abuse that Robert Hicks received...
Did he get plenty, did he?
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that.
Perspective has gone.
It has. But well done to Warrington. Well done to Sheffield. A lot of criticism of the crowds. We'll discuss that as well. We were there. I thought the atmosphere was brilliant. I don't know. Let us know. Did you go? What did you think of it? Let us know what you thought about it.
My favourite criticism of crowds is my favourite thing is by people who aren't there.
Yes. They were mourning, watching it on the telly.
Especially those who could have got a free ticket.
Yes, exactly. So it could have been there for free and they still didn't go. What does that say?
It says that we need to discuss in great detail why the Challenge Cup doesn't have the allure that it used to do.
Yes, we'll
and
discuss
the other thing that we also need to discuss is that the poor crowd figure, and we do have to discuss why it was poor, because there's no
lowest crowd in
there's
21 years for two English teams,
has allowed some people who would like to see the Challenge Cup final moved from Wembley. It's given them ammunition. I think we need to say that no, the one thing the sport cannot afford at the moment is to have its showcase event moved from the National Stadium. That would be such a negative for the sport as a whole. I think we were very fortunate to interview the victorious Sheffield coach and players in the Wembley tunnel area. Normally you don't get access to that, but there was limited amount of media still there by that time, and the walls of those tunnels are full of iconic images of events that have happened at Wembley Stadium. Not just football, but there's rock concerts. There are a lot of rugby league pictures going right back to the 50s, the 60s, and I think there is an appreciation there that the stadium and the sport have a natural fit.
Yeah.
And if we were to move away from there, it would say everything about the state of the sport.
There's one thing that we have to pick up on before we start, and it is a moment of sporting history. It was brought to our attention this week on social media regarding Martin Afai's try. Now there is his legendary try against Leeds. Now
I was in the crowd on that day, and I think I could have got closer.
There has been some criticism, Gary, that you didn't make a great effort to tackle Mr. Afai. Some fella in a scrum cap.
Hold on.
It looked like you were towing a caravan uphill.
He starts that arc away.
Hold on, where am I coming in?
You're waving at
Well,
him as he goes
you've like someone's put a still on it, and there's you running,
Do you know what?
jogging back, going.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not even going to try and defend myself.
Well, you didn't on the
Get lost. Absolutely get lost.
Did you or did you not make an half-assed effort at tackling him?
Hold on, about as much as good an effort as what Alan Tate did. So there you go. And we all know what happened. If I got the ball in the 25, Neil Hammer went, stop Martin. Martin went, no. And then obviously then Alan Tate said, well, go on then, Martin, even though you're the fastest man in rugby league, I'll show you outside. Good night, God bless. And I was like that. Oh, what a wonderful try. Yeah, exactly. So you can get lost. Don't be
you're denying that
it's
criticism.
got nothing to do with me whatsoever.
Okay.
In fairness,
Nothing at all.
Martin Afai was defending him as well.
And who said this?
Someone just brought it to our attention.
Well, I'll tell you what.
It was very, very poor. Very poor.
Well, whoever's brought it to your attention, if you do speak to him, just tell him Schoey says, get lost.
I'll tell you what, I bet your effort to get to the bar at the weekend was more than it was to get to a fire on that day.
To be honest with you, my son-in-law did a great job.
Is that why you took it? He's quite a fit lad, isn't he? It'll be up and down.
Well, to be honest with you, and you know, by the way, I just want to say thanks for the Rugby Football League for the invite. You know, I was in the Bobby Moore suite, allowed to take my son-in-law, but very disappointed.
We're not going there. We're not going there. The listeners aren't bothered about
what I'll just say is, no, my son-in-law did a very good job.
Good lad. Good lad.
And
Good lad. Yes.
Yeah.
happy birthday to us, but more importantly, thank you to every single listener and viewer who've stuck with us for a year, listening to this absolute nonsense.
Correct.
But it is our birthday.
It is.
Because unlike some rugby league clubs who claim a history that doesn't belong to them, well, we do when it suits. This is the first time since, the first show we did was after the Challenge Cup final last year, here in front of this wall of magazines. I've stayed up throughout the year. None of them have fallen down.
To be fair,
Like
you know the
We've
running
seen off
costs
Snapchat. They lived over there. They buggered off, didn't they? They've gone away. All these other podcasts who do a show one week, don't do another one, put out press releases saying how great they are, never do another episode. We're still here.
Can I just listen, fellas? Can I just tell you this? And I on Saturday, I must have had at least between 15 and 20 people come up to me and just say, "Do you know what? The show what you've got is the best in the league because of the way that we are. Because we're all different. We are all different. We all give an open, honest opinion, and every single one.
It's the honesty.
Yeah, correct. That's exactly what the people said. Because you're honest, and you're not the only people who say it as it is. So, many congratulations, Mr. Shawright. Many congratulations, Mr. Wilson, and many congratulations, Mr. Kaplan. Because we're all different, and we're all open,
one
honest.
for all.
Yeah.
One with the show, we will defend the greatest game of all, which is rugby league.
50 people came up to us three outside and went, "Why do you hang around with Schoey?"
Where is Schofield?
Where's Schofield? Yeah.
But what we should say, don't retweet us saying how great we are, because we're not those people who retweet.
No,
we're not saying
We're not
saying.
I've heard.
We'll say what people are saying about us.
I've heard though. To be fair, after the the statue, they're going to amend it and they're going to have you some 50 yards behind mine. Fire.
Wait. I think you knew in your heart as he went past you weren't going to get him.
Hold on. Right, can the missus get a bigger DVD up for the DVD that final? That try has got absolutely nothing at all to do with me.
Have we still got the scrum cap?
I could use some harsher words, to be honest with you. It's got absolutely all to do with me. I can read. Why
Somebody found a frame where
try?
you were near enough to him as he broke free.
Get lost.
But it's the television.
What's that? He's near enough, mate.
It's perspective, isn't it?
Listen, it was quite simple. He stepped up his left peg, went to Neil Armour, and Neil Armour went, "Oh, stop, Martin."
And
I just told you, Martin says,
Martin
Alan Tate showed me outside. Good night, God
I
bless.
think the other thing is we should make note that Martin was carrying the ball in the wrong hand.
Yeah.
Technically,
We'll move.
was awful.
We'll move. Let's talk about the people who did make an effort
Yes.
at Wembley this weekend and did win. Warrington. None of us last week. We're all, again, we all stand by our things. None of us put Warrington. Interesting comment from Daryl Clark after, saying that last year
Complacent.
they turned up thinking they were going to win and they didn't win.
Exactly.
And can we level it at Saints, or is the question right? And this is not Warrington were great. But Saints have been great all season, and they weren't great on Saturday. They don't win big games. Are Saints bottlers? I think that's the question that's got to be asked. I've said it earlier. I've said it earlier. They won't win anything. I said it all year, and now I'm even more convinced.
Well, I'll tell you what, Matt, you've got to be applauding for seeing that, to be honest with you. And I don't think until Saturday that the bottlers. But now you talk about being bottlers. The 3 games they played against Warrington this year, Saints showed a different side to them where they were patient. They were patient and grinded out the win against Warrington. So on Saturday, and by the way, everybody who I spoke to on Saturday, when the team sheets came out and Ben Curry was named at number 6, everybody went, "Oh, Saints by 20." I didn't get anybody to say to me Warrington were going to win. And by the way, Natalie was sat at our table and her husband Jack was a Saints fan. He was delighted with what I was saying in the prediction. I gave a prediction to him of St Helens 42, Warrington 10, and his missus Natalie, God bless her, she was there quiet, taking it all in. At half time, she was like a Cheshire cat. At full time, she said, "Schoey, you said if Warrington win, you're resigning as a pundit." She said, "I'll give you 2 weeks before."
Is this you noticed? Is that what were in the envelope?
Yeah.
You noticed?
Anyway, but so when you look at that game on Saturday, why Warrington couldn't win? 5 on the bounce.
Yeah.
Blake Austin. The Saints forwards literally battered them 3 times on the trot. In the 3 games what they've played, Saints have battered them. But then, when you looked at Saturday, St Helens were all over for the first 20-25 minutes. They had Warrington on the feet. That try didn't go their way. All right, whether Hick should have gone to the screen. Yes, in my opinion, yes, he should have done. I feel as though the referees refereed differently when they were on BBC rather than Sky. But what Warrington did, they came up with a solution then thinking, do you know what? St Helens now, every time they get the ball, they're looking to get good field position to create and score tries. Warrington were patient, and then what Warrington did, they turned the ship around on St Helens from a point of view. They were patient, they were grounding out a win, and they found a way to win. Where St Helens, quite simply, as Daryl Clark mentioned last year about being complacent, I believe St Helens were complacent. They believe that they could maybe blow them off for the first 20-25 minutes, then it would have been easy. Full credit to Warrington.
Two things struck me as the game starting to unfold. One was we spent all week saying, is Blake Austin going to be fit? Should Warrington be concentrating on a guy who, even if he goes out there, could be in that mould of Keith Senior or Gavin Miller? Clearly Warrington knew by Tuesday that he wasn't playing.
Well, Steve Price said after he couldn't believe all the was about.
But that's naive, because the number of times that coaches changed their 19, of course we had every right to think he was still going to play. And then Warrington themselves made it worse by closing their captain's run at Wembley, because that immediately throws into the mix, are they doing something that they want to hide from everybody? So we're absolutely right to question it right until the minute the team sheets came out, but they knew he wasn't playing. But the one thing we didn't say was, would somebody like Lachlan Coote, who's been brilliant all year but hasn't played for a month, as the game went on in 30-odd degree temperatures, would he tire? And he summed up Saints' performance in a way. The first 20 minutes he was great. He was a Lachlan Coote who's been fantastic all year and up there as a Man of Steel contender. The longer the game went on, the more tired he got, the more it became obvious that what they'd done all year wasn't starting to work, the less effective he became.
Well, he dropped a ball under no pressure in the first half. It cost them a second try.
The number of times St Helens got caught on the last tackle, trying a power play, was very unlike
Have
the way
we
they played
completely missed the ball in the media? Because some of them players, Roby hasn't played a lot recently, Wormsley's not played a lot. Have we missed it? We're all worrying about Warrington and Jack Hughes. Is he going to play? Chandler, is he going to play? And Austin, obviously. And we've never looked at Saints. And maybe they've been the ones last week going, Not sure whether he should be playing or not.
Yeah, but listen, also as well, last year, Oldbrook got criticised for not resting players. And then
Yeah,
this
but
year,
he hasn't been resting Coop. Coop's been injured.
Yeah, he's been injured.
So was he injured?
fit?
Yeah,
was
but
he fit?
Yeah, well, was he fit? Well, we won't know that until St Helens tell us that. But apart from that, against Leeds, what the rest of 5 or 6 players, didn't they, and this sort of thing. So were they fully fit, which we won't know from there. But Holbrook got criticised last year for not resting players. He did that, and has it done a back turn from him? Well, to be honest with you, I think the full credit has got to go on how Warrington played.
They were brilliant, mate.
They came up with a solution, and I think I said it last week. If I was picking that side, I would have played Fulis at full-back, but the name of Ratford. But Ratford played like a standoff. Ratford was sensational. I tell you what, another guy who was sensational, Jack Hughes. He played like an old-fashioned loose forward. It was him who were getting to first man, taking that pressure off there. And Rashford was looping around and playing that a little bit wide. I thought Jack Hughes was outstanding. It's got to be all credit to how good, not just the game plan, the philosophy, the solution of how they handled St Helens. Because Warrington, for the first 25 minutes, they're out on the feet, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Games like
brilliant.
that are also won on defining moments. And the number of times that Tommy Makinson has scored that acrobatic try in the corner, and we've all gone up and gone, it's a privilege to be here. That's what rugby league's about. This time, because of Bryson Goodwin's desire to get over there and try and dislodge the ball from his arm, he didn't get it down. That was an absolute turning point, because I think if Saints had scored then, the game may have swung back. And it's efforts like that deserve to win cup finals.
I think also, if you notice the way Makinson, went for that dive, normally he dives a lot higher. He didn't dive. The dive wasn't, because he normally dives as though the height of the corner flag. It wasn't there. If he'd got a bit higher, then he wouldn't have got to the right arm from there. And I'll tell you what, another guy who played brilliantly as well, and it surprised everybody in the starting lineup, Big Burn at Marcella. How good was he?
Well,
how good was he? What sort of presence and purpose
he was gone
set?
after about 18 minutes.
Hey, mate, but
he played the first 30 odd, and
he did his job. He did his job.
And he was in the right place.
We haven't seen that role for a lot this year.
Absolutely,
he's coming for a lot of criticism.
It was the sum of the parts. Everybody made a contribution.
Correct.
And I think they knew that without Austin as the guiding go-to man if they needed him, they all had to do something a little bit extra. And that was the difference. And for me, it was the ultimate team performance rather than... I mean, it was great that the 6 players that were nominated for the Lance Todd were all Warrington players. That tells you that, as a team performance, they were magnificent.
In the 80 minutes, how many chances did Tommy Makinson have?
Well, I've just looked at... and Gary will quite rightly tell you that individual stats don't give you the whole story. But Tommy Makinson made more metres than anybody else.
In the opening, he probably made more of those in the opening 20 minutes. I couldn't understand why Saints kept going left.
Yeah.
When him and Nagama, who both made every time they touched the ball in the first 20 minutes, he made 30 yards. And yet they kept going the other way. And I thought Coop was pivotal in that. Every time he wanted to go down the left.
But I think because Johnny Lomax prefers going down the left hand side, doesn't he? That's why.
He had a poor game from what we've seen from him.
Yeah, it was.
So, is it... Have they? It seems a really horrible word to use, bottled it, but they didn't turn up, did they?
They succumbed to the pressure of being the favourite.
As they ever, and also as well, James Roby's putting extra pressure on this side by saying, until we win something, then we're not going to be remembered as...
Yeah, but they're not going to be.
The
owners come out and said that. It's all right being top of the league. We need to win some silverware.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, they're going to be classed as a great side if they just win one piece of silverware. I don't think so. That doesn't make it a great side. It makes it a great side if you do it 4 or 5 times. If you do the treble a couple of times, or you get back to Old Trafford and repeat that like Wigan did, and we know what Leeds have done, and Saints did the treble a few years ago. But until you win 4 or 5 trophies in consecutive years, this isn't a great side.
It's a side with some great individuals in it, but it can't be classed as a great side.
Has the pressure just gone up on them now, given that everyone's going to go...
Well, it's made the grand final a lot more interesting.
I'll tell you who's going like this.
Wigan.
The team just down the road.
We told you weeks ago on this programme.
And I keep talking about them 3 forwards at Wigan and 3 forward in Smithies, Partington and the other one, Byrne. And if Lockett comes back and what have you, that Wigan pack, and George Williams, his future's all settled now, the way that he's playing that in that Wigan side and what have you, they're like that. We want you.
Well, Warrington, we were talking, we were wondering where this lot going to win.
Yeah,
do you think have they taken their eye off the ball, solely focusing on this? Do you think is that why they've been poor in recent weeks, or what?
I guess you could do, yeah, because now, because as we know what the system is, you can plan your season out, can't you? You know, you can plan it out from there. They're still second in the league, and I would imagine now they've done all the celebrating. I know they've got an open top bus around the city centre today. I don't think
and
there'll be
ridiculously they're playing on Thursday.
Well, yeah, I totally agree, but I wouldn't imagine there'll be any alcohol today and what have you. It'll be straight back to work now. They would have worked out. I
think you might be wrong there, because someone tweeted a picture earlier that they'd all just walked in the local pub and Steve Price was leading them in.
I think today might be the last day on the
I think they might be on the sauce today.
Well, it's a good call, to be honest with you. Why not, to be honest with you? But they will plan it out, and as we know what the system is, if you finish in the 5 from there, hey, listen, it's on the day, it's only 80 minutes. Anybody, whoever makes that top 5 can beat anybody, but now, the big pressure on is on St Helens. It's not on Wigan, it's not on Warrington, it's not on Hull, it won't be on Castle or Salford. If they make, I don't think Catalan will make it, I'm not bothered about them, to be honest with you. But the pressure is on St Helens.
The interesting thing is that Steve Price was absolutely unequivocal in the press conference afterwards that they were going for Old Trafford. The first thing he's got to do is make sure they finish in the 5. Because there is always a cup hangover. And I don't think they did plan to lose their last 5 games. I think they planned to rotate their squad, but I think even he was perplexed by some of the form they'd shown in the previous 5 games. That if the league table of form of those 5 games has them at the bottom, and you wouldn't want to be going into the playoffs in that form. I think they've got a huge amount of confidence from what they did on Saturday, but that game on Thursday is a real tough one against Salford. They could actually be mathematically out of the 5 by the end of this weekend, and that's a big effort to drag yourself up on the back of the emotion of winning the Challenge Cup. But what they've shown is that Saints are vulnerable.
How long now is Blake Austin out? So do we know?
Not even been mentioned.
Not been mentioned.
No.
Right.
No.
So
but he could be like a very important new player coming in with.
Oh, with that I know. I've got ankle ligaments and mine were 8 weeks. So if it is pretty bad, it will be 8 weeks. So how long is it since Catalan's? 4 weeks, is it now?
Yeah.
It'll be 4 weeks this week.
Right. Yeah. So he may not play again.
Well, to be fair, Jack Hughes played with a ruptured testicle, like you do.
Oh, that's only like a groin strain. Don't worry about that.
In the cricket box.
Anyway, by the way, you did say if.
Yes.
You've got to mention
You said it. You said it.
No. You were offered. Would you rather face Jofra Archer batting or wear a Dougie Lawton t-shirt? You said Jofra Archer. So you chose your own punishment if Warrington won and Warrington won. So we're setting it up. We made a few calls.
We know some people.
We know some people. Watch this space.
So the next test is at Manchester. So if he bowls it from Manchester to Edinburgh, I'm delighted. Is that right? Will that be okay?
Still be quick.
Depends if he's uphill or downhill.
It does 90 miles an hour. It'll still come through a bit quick.
Yeah. We got moaned at last week for talking about the cricket. Probably the greatest sporting event that Headingley's seen for 40 years or whatever.
And the
38 years.
The key is what.
I must say, listen, fellas. I must say. Our mate John Davis, I texted him. I texted him.
Did you reply?
I think we've all sent him a message.
I gave him absolutely.
Saturday he were hammering us. Don't worry about that.
We all know what he's been doing. So, and then you know what he came back with? It's a Kiwi who's beat us, not an Englishman.
Well,
you know exactly what I said to him. Dry your eyes. You get sponsored by Kleenex, you big Aussie. So and so. But yeah, John Davo, if you're listening. Oh, dry your eyes, son. Dry your eyes. We're going to win the Ashes now. Dry your eyes.
It's like Michael Johnson.
As someone who's...
What was he called, the fellow captain England in the Rugby Union? What was he called? He was a Kiwi.
Martin Johnson.
Martin Johnson, that's it.
Martin Johnson, a Kiwi?
Yeah. Played for the All Blacks in the 21s or something.
Yeah.
Did he?
As someone who's been head-to-head with the Australians, what did it mean to you yesterday when you beat them?
Oh, sensational. Yeah. Absolutely, because there's no rivalry like it in sport. Whichever sport is, whether it's rugby league, rugby union, cricket, even Tiddlywinks. Oh no! I can when I played with the Balmain Tigers, I had 5 of them. I had the 5 with Kangaroos. You know, Wayne Pearce, Steve Rhodes, Gary Jacks, Paul Sutton, and Benny Lice. Let's you know when the Great Britain were going to be playing them in the cup. We know we're going to do your pommy something, your pommy this, and it's going to be 3-0, and all the club sides aim getting walloped as well, and we'll be on the drink through the week because you're that easy. Honestly, it just literally frustrated you. And to be honest with you, I couldn't really say, no, you're not, because they did, didn't they? But we got better from when Mal really took over from there and got a little bit closer with Maurice Bamford. But there's nothing better. And do you know what, as well? When I saw, because I like watching cricket, I'm frightened to death of playing the game, but I like watching cricket. When they went for that review down Lakeside, I thought to myself, Well, I wear glasses, and Specsavers are the sponsor. I'm thinking, surely you can see that is missing the wicket, and we all know in the end, don't we? The umpire got it wrong from there. But I was absolutely delighted. I was pumped like everybody else. I had goosebumps because we'd beaten them. Aussie, can I really say it?
No.
I think
them Aussie.
Them
people.
You know, the obviously in a captain in rugby league is just tossing a coin and saying stop conceding tries when you concede them behind the goal and pointing and shouting a lot. And the cricket captains have to do a lot more. Is that the worst decision you've ever seen a captain make? That review on the LBW.
Oh, you know what? And I say it's laughable, and I say Mark's a cricketer from there, but you watch it and you pick up little things, don't you, from there and the reviews, and if it's not in line or it's on the outside or whatever. But to be honest with you, I think Stevie Wonder would be able to see that was never going to be hitting the wickets, wasn't it? But it was a great call by the Aussies. Loved the call, but it was just desperation, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was absolute.
They were mentally frazzled.
We were talking about what happened to St Helens. That's what pressure does to you.
Of course,
we start making uncharacteristic decisions.
I've just been listening to who talks about when Darren Goff, and he's that Nathan Lyon, the spin ball. He says all he does is yap 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 yap. And Goffy said, well, he could have caught that ball in his gob and knocked it out the time what he had from there. But yeah, well done, Goffy. Nathan Lyon, shut up, and also to Tim Payne, absolute shocker. John Davo, keep crying because you're going to be weeping because we're going to win the Ashes off you again.
Obviously, we're talking about an umpiring decision there in the cricket which has cost Australia the game.
Yeah. Cost them the Ashes, don't worry about that.
Cost them the Ashes because we're going to win the Ashes now. It's all right, unless it rains. Well, where are we playing next? Manchester. In September. Well done. Obviously, the big controversial moment of the Challenge Cup final, which I completely missed. I was there and I missed it.
Yeah, but you actually had to do some work.
I was working. I was working. Yeah,
terrible.
Hello to all the armed forces who were listening. If it was a try, why didn't A, Morgan Knowles celebrate, and B, why didn't the St Helens captain do the old "go on, ref, sort it out" thing? They weren't convinced, were they?
I think there's two things. One is, would it have changed the course of the game? And I think we can probably spend the next 20 minutes debating whether Saints were so far ahead at that stage that had they scored early.
Well, it's a sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
We'll never truly know, but you'd rather be 6-0 up than 6-0 behind, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But I think as well there was some criticism of the replays that were shown that seemed to indicate that it was a try, but it didn't show the other angles, because it would have gone up as a no try. Because Robert Hicks was convinced it wasn't a try because he didn't give it as a try.
Yeah.
So if it had gone up as a no try, you would have seen at least 4 or 5 other angles like they do on Sky.
Yeah.
And they may well have seen an angle that Robert Hicks saw where there was some doubt, maybe some separation between Knowles getting his hand on the ball and a still picture of him having his hand on the ball, in which case it might have been hard for the video referee to even overrule the decision on the ground of no try. Should we be applauding a referee for making a decision, or should we be vilifying him in case he got that decision wrong?
Well, I think what we'd all, you just mentioned how the referee do. I think Robert Hicks in big games referees differently to how Robert Hicks referees every week. Now, I think that is an issue, personally. Yeah, and it's not a criticism of Robert, because I think in big games he's normally bang on. Look, there's no one going to be hurting more than him that he did or didn't review it. If he reviewed it and been proved right, then no one can call him out for it. I think he does what we have said, and we've said this before, in big games, what he does, he adds to the speed of the game by not blowing his whistle every 2 minutes, by not stopping for this, not stopping for that. So, he's made a call. It's one of them things, right? It's one of them things. It's life. Some people, I think he should have reviewed it in a cup final, but then he'll review everything, and then we'll be mourning. No, he's got to make a decision. So it's tough. Yeah.
And Saints had 75 minutes after that to take matters into their
My
own
question is, why do we referee differently in big games? Why do we not referee like that every week?
But that's, I think, every sport.
I agree. But also as well, I think as well, the referees referee differently when they're on the BBC.
Why? What do you mean by that?
Do the Sky? Well, what was it in the whole game? 6 penalties. Well, I think in the first 30 minutes, only a penalty from there. Again, it might be where they think it's a cup final. It's on the BBC where we don't, even in the grand final, they're not stop starting, which we don't want. But I totally agree with what Phil said from there, from a point of view. I'm all for the referee can only give what he sees, and I totally applaud that. This is why I say, for me, get rid of the video referee. We give more respect to the officials. That is my opinion. But then the other situation, if that would have been a Sky game, he would have gone to the screen. There's no two ways about that whatsoever. I don't think, because what the referees do when they're on Sky, they look at the touch judges, and one of the touches will go, yeah, have a look, and that's what they do. Robert Hicks, he felt as though straight away it wasn't a try, so he didn't consult anybody. If that would have been on Sky, he would have gone to the screen.
Do we looking at the cricket?
Well,
do you say
one of the things,
red flag down or whatever, or
one of the things we thought at the time,
I want to review it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can the communication with the fourth official or the video referee be a two-way street? So if Ben Thaler's watching that on his screen and he thinks there's a chance there's a try, before Robert Hicks gives it as a no try, does he get a word in his ear going, just refer that, let me have a look at that?
But is that undermining Robert Hicks?
But
if they're a team of officials,
once you've got a video referee,
yeah,
do you have to have that ability? You know, there's all this consternation about VAR and football at the moment, which I don't fully understand. Penalties are not penalties that are penalties, and vice versa.
I think it's just to fill up radio station phone-ins.
But should there be an ability for Ben Thaler, who's watching that at normal speed, just to say, Robert, might be worth looking at that?
Yeah, look, right, you know, it's one of them things. People say it's a mourning, not mourning, just an old book comment on it. And what I will say is he was full of praise for Warrington. He didn't say that's why we lost. No. He said he thought it, I think he just said thought it was criminal. It didn't get referred.
Yeah, but he did say it was a great game and a great occasion and the best team won. He couldn't have been more equivocal.
That
the
was
best
the
team
thing.
won.
And I asked the question of them both in the thing. What do you, Justin? You've been part of the Challenge Cup. What do you make of it? Absolutely loved it.
Well, he said he wanted it in Australia.
Yeah, he did. He said he should have it in the NRL. And Price was the same. You know, tremendous. Played down his role. Not misunderstood the question. I wanted to know what it meant to him as a person.
It's all about the players.
It's all about the players. Yeah.
Did we? If referees referee differently, whichever TV channel they're on. What about if they're on BBC Two or BBC One?
Maybe the BBC have less camera angles to view these things than Sky.
But
Sky are a multi-camera operation when it comes to Sky Sports.
To be fair, the Beeb have. They're pretty well equipped.
They've got it, and an event like that they would have it. But you just
Don't
wonder if, with the there's a slight technological differential.
But do we prefer a game with fewer penalties than one with lots?
I
thought
there
more penalties in that game.
Look, there were a couple of calls that I thought went against Saints. I didn't think Grace touched the ball when he went back to one, but I didn't spend the rest of the game worrying about that. He's made the call.
Robert Hicks
deal with it.
Didn't drop a ball in front of his own post under pressure.
No, exactly, and that's it. So yeah, look, did he get it wrong? Possibly he did.
Yeah, we don't
and knowing Robert as we do, we'll be no one more gutted if he feels he's got it wrong than him.
Did we think that overall for the 80 minutes it was a wonderful spectacle?
Yes, it was. It was end to end. It was great.
In which case the referee has to take credit for that because he's part of making it a great. And it's like you say, if you don't see the referee for long periods of the game, he's had a great game. Apart from should he have gone to the screen or not gone to the screen, I thought it was brilliant.
Plenty of comments about the fact that we've got special guest Onslow from Keeping Up Appearances.
Yes, it has been. Look, we were in the press box at the weekend. I'm going to say this now.
Go on, I think you should.
The decorum of some of our colleagues,
disgraceful.
Dress sense, diabolical, absolutely diabolical.
Heartbreaking.
Place of work.
Needs sorting out.
A formal
and it's happening in here now. You see, this is what happened. You let one thing happen.
Standard slip.
Don't stamp on it, happen and look at it. I mean, we've walked. He's had a warning.
He walked in, immediate yellow card.
Immediate yellow card.
Swigging from cans in the mix.
Like I said, you look like Onslow. That's what the listeners are saying.
Listen, hold on. It's 33 degrees. You know what I mean? I'm warm, so just.
I'm warm. Phil's warm. Richard's warm.
I've had a good workout today, so I just thought, well,
you've had a good workout.
Barbecue?
I'll put me, the vest on. But no, it's too warm, fellas. It's too warm. But all right, if you're not happy about it, then I'm
only glad they can't see the bottom half. That's all I'm glad.
Well, I'll tell you what. Some of those shorts in the press.
Well, what's up with the press box? The lads just a bit scruffy, wasn't it?
Shorts. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan.
No,
you won't go to a business meeting with your shorts on, would you?
No. Well, you've got to respect, haven't you? Well, to be honest with you, when we're toured at Wembley, you can't wear shirts. What was Johnny Vegas doing when he shirt in the Royal Box?
Yeah.
By
the way, Phil pointed out, we'll talk about Sheffield in a minute, the steward who was trying to move Eddie Batty on, I think he'd have got planted, wouldn't he? Because he was celebrating with all his former teammates when they were coming down. He went over having all of a sudden. The guy's like, "Mate, you need to move."
Could he move off?
And he just like, he just.
Well, I was the same last year because I went to Shakespeare where I was sat, and it was the first seat there, and I would be on the second seat. I just went to go to the first seat, and the shoot from there. I just said, I just want to shake Steve McNamara's hand and Austin, and everyone scored. I just want to. Oh yeah, I want to know the same.
Did you high five Prince Harry?
I never got there, did I?
Oh, didn't you?
No.
I have to say,
we did a caption contest, and I have to say, our listeners are brilliant.
Apart
Our
from
listeners
the ones which are actionable.
What were the caption?
are brilliant.
What were the caption?
Well, there's a picture of Ralph and Prince Harry.
Oh, right.
And Prince Harry's pointing at him and laughing.
Yeah, he's like going, look at this lad here, like one of them. You know what I mean?
Where's he got
Some of the responses,
where's he got that suit from?
brilliant, absolutely. You can't read them out. They'll make you laugh. They'll make your belly laugh. Some of them, absolutely outrageous.
I have to say, whether you're a fan of royalty or not, I thought Prince Harry lent something to the occasion.
He was brilliant.
I thought the way that he spoke to the ball boys was absolutely outstanding. It meant everybody shook the ball boys' hands. The way at half time, and credit to the RFL for organising it, he went down and met the wheelchair and the women's Challenge Cup winners.
Courtney Beavers, apparently, according to the telly, that was good.
But I do think that everything he did lent to the occasion. And it's not a huge deal, but when Harper's Bazaar and Hello Magazine are mentioning Rugby League because they're carrying the diary of the royal family, and this is where Prince Harry was today, I thought he was brilliant.
I liked it when he high-fived. He did the old high-five, shake your hand to one of the Warrington players. I thought that was class. Because it's all...
And all the mascots as well. He had a word with the mascots.
When they got the cup, because a few of them walked past him and I thought, that's a bit offside, because they're all trying to get on the picture, and a few just walked past and then one leant over and high-fived him. I thought, fair play. It could have been, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Both he and Tony Adams really entered into the spirit of it. And Adams tweeted about how much he'd enjoyed the game.
Well, I saw Tony Adams get a bit of stick on social media, and I thought, well, obviously people don't see what goes on behind the scenes, but I was down in the tunnel after the Challenge Cup final in the mix zone waiting to interview the players, and Adams was there with the rest of the 1895 presentation party, Ray French et al. He looked like he was having a great time.
He was.
People saying he looked miserable, wanting to be somewhere else. I don't buy into that at all. And he stayed for the second final.
Yeah.
No, but Harry was brilliant.
He was
absolutely brilliant. And he looked, do you know what? He looked as though, not just enjoying it, but he wanted to be part of it as well. And that's what. But do you know what? That's what the Challenge Cup is.
Absolutely.
Everybody who was participating in the Challenge Cup, and whether it's kids, to officials, to players, to coaches, they will all tell you, whether you're Australian, whether you're Kiwi, whether you're Samoan, whatever, you're French, you're British, everybody wants to play in a Challenge Cup and be in a national stadium.
To stay at Wembley.
It's got to stay at Wembley. That is a no-brainer. That cannot even come in consideration. Moving it from Wembley, we can come up with different ideas because, the one big problem what I see why the crowd's up there, I'm not seeing Feverson shirts, I'm not seeing Workington, I'm not seeing Whiting, I'm not seeing Dewsbury, I'm not seeing Bradford, I didn't see many Leeds, I didn't see many OKR, I didn't see many Hull. We need to get it where clubs, you are being asked every year that you must sell between 1,000 and 1,500 tickets for the Challenge Cup final, whether you're there or not. Some sort of incentive for the amateur clubs and all this sort of thing as well, and that'll get the crowd up to where we want to get to at least about 80,000 people.
What we need to do as a sport is get all our money, put it all in a big pit, and rebuild a certain stadium, and then we'll have the Challenge Cup final in Bradford every year, because that'd be a great idea. See Prince Harry pitching up to that, can't you? Kev asked me before it started, on the weekend, how much the prize money is these days. No idea, Kev, because it's not in the programme. In the olden days of the good old cigarettes, the old silk cut, they had the prize money in, round by round, and how many cigs all the players got.
And media.
But it doesn't say anymore, so I don't know, Kev. I don't have an answer to your question.
Back in our day, I think the winners, 100 grand to the winners. But overall, back in our day, the clubs made it around about between, I think, £250,000 and £300,000 with everything. With the tickets, what they get for the tickets and all the merchandise. Yeah, so back in our day, it worked about
a lot was made last year. Catalans were there. Oh, it's Catalans' fault. They didn't bring any fans.
Well, Bruno pointed out you can't blame the Catalans.
Well, exactly. It was almost like, I'll name Richie Mathers. He tweeted and went, "Oh, it's pathetic, the crowd," whatever he said. And I was like, well, I was there. I thought the atmosphere was brilliant.
I agree.
The atmosphere was brilliant, but we didn't see it on the. We can only see a specific part of the ball, and it's hard to gauge what the crowd is. And a lot of people saying, well, we don't believe there was 60,000 there.
I think we spoke about it on the way home as well. That's how you frame that as a television event. It seemed odd. There were pockets in very high-profile parts of the stadium that were empty.
Well,
but there were people on third tiers and somehow, we need to be a bit clever about, if we have got 60,000 there, how we spread that out in the stadium to make it like Anfield.
Yeah, well, I praised the Beeb at Anfield for the Test match because there was no one in the top deck, and they purposely didn't show it. And the way they angled it was great. It was always never in. It was never on. Well, the first thing I saw when you're watching the TV pictures at the ground is a picture in front of an empty. Look on there from their studio, as though there was nobody there. And I think that's someone that cares about the game. And I've worked in games at a lower level where there haven't been a lot of fans at a game, but you wouldn't know it when you look at the pictures of, when they're highlighting something. That it's cleverly done, and I think if you're clever, you can look after it. If you don't give a toss about the sport, and I'm not saying this at the people on the coverage, they're great, I like them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's just the way it's framed up and the way it's made to look. I just thought that was a little bit
I think
poor.
there is an issue highlighted about the appeal of this sport at the moment, which is not a negative to talk about. It's something that we as a game need to talk about. What has happened to the profile of the sport to the extent that people are not going to the prestigious big events? Now, part of that is the timing of that event. You say there weren't a lot of Featherstone and Bradford and Leeds ships there. There weren't, but they couldn't have got a train. It's the most difficult place to get to that bank holiday weekend because there was no East Coast mainline trains. So I get that moving it back to July should have an instant impact. But if we think that just moving it back to July
is going to
mean that 80,000 people are going to turn up, that's not right. I saw we had a great series of tweets that I think Forty20 Live was included in by Stringy Bob, who was talking about somebody who he knows, who is a young lady from the south of England, who took a punt on going for the first time to Wembley. She'd been to a Rugby Union International that took it, hadn't really enjoyed it, hadn't felt part of it, but saw that there was a big sporting event coming up at Wembley, wasn't really sure who was playing, didn't really need to know, picked a team when she got there, and had a whale of a time. Now, my argument would be, how do you attract people like that? Well, this week in London is arguably one of the biggest games of the Super League season. And the cheapest form of marketing you can do would have been to hand out leaflets to people like her to say, I don't know what you're doing next weekend, but if you enjoyed what's happened this weekend, if you go 5 miles down the road to Ealing, it might not be a cup final, but you're going to see a real high-pressure game, and London are one of the teams that are playing, and the bar will still be open, and the seat price will still be relatively cheap compared to other high-profile events that go on in the capital. That's where we don't cash in enough. I didn't see anybody promoting that London Leeds game this week on the back of, if you're a first-timer here or you're a local or you don't really know a lot about the sport, here's the next time you can witness it.
62,000 is still a lot of people. I think some of the ex-players who criticise, I'm not saying any in particular, but it's not that easy just to get people into a ground these days. There are 1,000,001 other things you can do. Oh, come on, that's very funny. I'll show you in a minute. And as has been pointed out on Twitter by David, in the past it was just Wembley, the Challenge Cup final. There wasn't a buy-in for the Premiership final, was there? If your team isn't there, you ain't going to the Regal Trophy final, but now we've got the Magic Weekend. The Grand Final's a big thing.
There's trips to Catalan and Toronto.
Summer Bash, blah blah.
There are more. I think that's right. We all.
The Leeds Festival wasn't around 30 years ago.
Yeah,
was it?
Well, it's an appalling weekend with the carnivals that are on, and
But we can't lose sight of the fact, and we're all very lucky. We get in for free. I'm not mourning about the ticket price. The ticket price is a fair. That's one thing the RFL and Super League get right. You're never paying too much for a ticket.
But I also think that when you've got the teams that are ranked 1 and 2, and there is a level of attractive rugby that you can expect to see, I found that crowd incredibly disappointing.
No, I found it incredibly disappointing, Phil. But
I'm not blaming the two clubs.
We go. No, listen. We go, right. I go. Got a wife and 2 kids. Go to the game. Tickets, £150. All right, I'm willing to wear that. £60 in petrol to get there and back. £30 to park your car anywhere near. And we had to walk a mile with all our gear, and we were working, and we couldn't get a car park ticket. So another £30 there, so that's £240. It's £6-7 for a pint. You have a couple of pints. You want to buy a programme, that's £8. You've got to eat because you're going to be out of the house all day, so that's 2 meals. That's another £60. You're talking a £400 day out, and that's minimum. That's a lot of money when you can watch it on the telly for free.
And you're a neutral.
Yeah, and I used to go. We used to get a bus trip. There were a bus load of us went every year without fail. We didn't give a damn who we put. Best one we ever went to. We watched Sheffield. We were brilliant. We had no interest in Sheffield winning, but it was great to be there and part of it. You just say people go to Catalan. The Warrington fans are in Catalans, as we know. In Catalans, some of them sadly not behaving as they should have been, but they were there. Now, do you ask them to double up and go again? It's hard. It's very hard.
I think that is about getting the structure of the season right, and trying to not have too many big events too close to each other. I think the other thing that is really interesting is how does this affect the finances of the governing body going forward?
Well, this is an interesting
because
one.
this is the only event they've got this year where they can generate income.
Yeah.
Great Britain going to the Southern Hemisphere makes no money for the RFL.
No, and
the best
dare I
they can
say
hope
it,
for
they've given
is
the rights away again.
Well,
it seems
the best they can hope for is to break even on that in terms of the cost of sending the teams out there and a very little amount of revenue that comes back in for some rights. So the best they can hope for is to not lose money on it. We have no details yet of what's happening next year with the incoming Kangaroos. So the only money that the RFL will generate this year in terms of independent finance is the ticket sales and the Challenge Cup. We already know that they posted a £327,000 loss on last year's Challenge Cup final. The crowd wasn't that different this year.
No, it wasn't.
Because if you take off the 4,000 or 5,000 ex-players who got free tickets, which will be included in that 62,000, the differential is not great, but we were told the RFL would make a £200,000 profit this year that would part offset the £327,000 loss. I don't think they're going to do it on those crowd figures that were there. I think this plunges them at a time with great financial uncertainty surrounding, for example, Bradford.
Yeah. And great speculation growing as to what's happening there.
But that
as well.
makes a real uncertain economic future for the governing body of the game.
Graham's asked a question. Why, as a Fev fan, would I support a competition we have no chance of winning? But that's Fev had no chance of winning for most years.
Because that's where, and we probably should talk about this a bit more, that's where the 1895 Cup comes in. And that I think we all thought, we were very lucky to speak to coaches and players that had just played on the Wembley turf and won. And there was no prouder man. In fact, if you haven't seen the interview with Mark Aston that's on 4020 Live, I would recommend it to you, because if you just want to see somebody whose whole life has been dedicated to a club and a cause and has had his day literally in the sun where all of that hard work has come home, just watch it. It'll invigorate you. It'll lift you. If you talk, we talk to Aaron Brown, who's one of the very few players that scored a hat trick at Wembley.
How gutted would you have been with that, Schoey? Gets hat trick, don't get man of the match.
I think that's a bit rare French.
I've been asking the question who I'm voting for.
Even Mark Aston were like, how the hell did he get man of the match?
Listen, Mark, as well, I've got man of the match at Leeds when we've been hammered, and you're like that. Oh, please don't pick mine. Because when it come over to you just got booed. So there's sometimes when you've got man of the match, you didn't want it. But,
they would have all wanted it, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, but on the big occasions, a hat trick, I just don't understand why you didn't get it.
We're talking about Mark Aston's day in the sun, and between those 2 days in the sun, there's been a torrential rainpour in Sheffield, and his team, his club, has been screwed over countless times. How many times they've had to play outside the city twice? Played at Doncaster.
That merger with Huddersfield was an absolute.
To keep Huddersfield afloat, and God knows they've gone on to great.
That brought their back, didn't it?
And both Widnes and Sheffield have had issues with being allowed to keep an academy going, and yet they were the two clubs that were there with a lot of young kids that were local talent that had come.
Well,
Mark made that point.
Yes.
That,
and it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I've often thought. We've got Gary Schofield, one of the greatest rugby league players ever been. He's in the Hall of Fame, so he has to be. If Gary Schofield was born anywhere else but Leeds, if he'd been born in Northampton or whatever, what would he have been? These kids in Sheffield...
Traffic ward.
These kids in Sheffield...
Arrested.
We don't know what... I've said it before, there's a lad from Rotherham who's now in the system of the biggest ice hockey league in the world. Now that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a team in Sheffield set up in 1991. The Sheffield Eagles have that pathway.
Ryan Miller, who played on the wing, came through Birmingham Bulldogs. In what was the Rugby League Conference, which no longer really exists in the same way that it did, was spotted by the talent scouts at Sheffield, who did the same with the Coventry team of 2004 and picked up 2 or 3 there. Not frightened to give a kid a chance. And same with Matt Davis for Warrington, who came through Leicester Phoenix, which became Leicester Storm in that same competition.
But again, Phil, we've mentioned it before, that's why, because we should have ex-players who know a little bit about sporting talent as development officers
you should
all around the country.
You spent a bit of time with Army Rugby League.
No,
You should be going round recommending
I've seen some talent there, some of them talent with the right guidance. There's a centre who's playing for the Armed Forces, and I know Lee Raffler's looking at him. He looked at him at Sidhall, and I watched him at Sheffield in the final. And I texted Alex to tell him about it. I said, "Yes, Schoey, I'm still looking at him. I know he's a bit raw, but he's got something there that can make him." And that's exactly what they're doing with the kid at the Fijian from there. But the game, ex-players who know a little bit about the game by looking at talent and sporting talent, there should be 10 development officers all around the country.
What did we make of the game? We haven't actually spoken about the second game.
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought 24-0 in the second half for Sheffield was a magnificent performance. But I think everybody said beforehand, it can't. But you can't have your main event as a curtain raiser. I think what it proved was that game has to be first.
I get look,
and I think that would
I love
help
putting
the
the
crowd.
booting on the RFL. They explained to us why it was
I
second.
understand that.
On this occasion, it was either you don't go, or we do it, but it's got to be on second.
Yes.
So I think the onus is on them to sort that out.
It was mainly the BBC that made that decision. It was the ground authorities as well, with the cost of hire in Wembley. And until you've tried something and then you change it, fine. But I think if you put that game on first, with what everybody's seen about how much it means to those players and those clubs, you will get more buy-in from Featherstone and Brad, because they'll know it could have been them that could have got there. It could have been York, it could have been Lee. All of those clubs' fans, if they know at the beginning of the season that their team has a realistic chance of getting to Wembley, would be more predisposed to buying a ticket.
Yeah.
I think the quality of the game showed everybody that how much it meant. I don't think you can necessarily read too much into. Shows you how great the Championship is on a week-to-week basis. What it showed you is that those players just excelled playing on that stage, and they produced something that was worthy of the admittance fee alone. The fact that we got 2 games of great quality, we're incredibly lucky.
Fair play to the Widnes fans as well.
They were magnificent.
I thought they were brilliant. I thought they were absolutely outstanding. But also, again, going back to the game, Mark, and all, it was. I think when you looked at that Sheffield's second half performance, I think it was the experience of Mark Aston and Keith Senior who'd been there, because Widnes for the first 20 minutes was all over Sheffield, and then Sheffield, got a nice try. How did that Thacker get? Was it an intersection or just? I don't know.
Well, Thacker himself said the guy dropped the ball.
Yeah, dropped it.
He dropped it and he just caught it.
Yeah, because I thought, well, I was that next thing you see him go under 80s, and then Widnes got it just before half time. But then when you looked at the second half, Sheffield were just very, very patient, and that to me was the experience of what Aston's been through from there. Also, too, with Senior playing there, and just say, listen, let's be patient. Let's not panic, because our opportunities will come.
They built
that's exactly
into
what
that
they did. They were outstanding.
They got John Keir to present the shirts the night before. Got Keith Senior to put a video together of what 98 meant. I think that we were talking to Thackeray afterwards, and he was saying he was ready to go Friday night. I think their preparation was magnificent, and even when they went behind, they weren't going to be phased by the occasion.
Exactly.
Thought Patch Walker was great as well.
But that has come through with people who have been at Wembley. Because Wembley is a one-off place. You can't explain what it's like playing it until you've done it. When I first went there, with Hull in '85, you don't appreciate and understand it until you walk out of that crowd. And back in them days, and when I played there, it was 98,000, right? And then when we went to the walk around at first, about 8,000, 10,000 people there. An hour and a half after, you come out of the dressing room, and you went up the tunnel, and then all of a sudden, as it levelled off, you thought, hold on, what's this noise? What's this noise from there? And then when they can see you coming out, I'm getting goosebumps now. When they can see you coming out of that tunnel, you think, hold on, what's all this about? And then all of a sudden, you're told not to look around, all this, you've got to concentrate and focus and all this sort of thing. You can't help it. You just cannot help it. So you can't explain what Wembley means. And just being in the dressing rooms and even just getting off the bus and all this sort of thing, it's sensational. But certainly, when you look at the way Sheffield played in that second half, it was that experience here that got John Keir back in from there, Keith Senior and Mark Aston, and that's why they went on the job. But I'll tell you what, as you mentioned there, Mark, the Widnes fans were sensational. They would have learnt a lot from that, and I can tell you what, Widnes will be saying, we've got an appetite for this competition, we want to get back there next year.
I think every club that in the Championship will now feel that they've got a realistic route to a trophy on a major stage.
Absolutely.
So when they do their pre-season planning, they'll be going, there might still be a midweek game, hopefully there won't be. That's another lesson.
Well, that was the thing that Mark Aston said. He said, look, you've got to build it, you do it properly, you don't make it a midweek competition.
But I think if that game had finished with 60-odd thousand people in the stadium, it would have got the finale it deserved. And that when Sheffield went up to get their trophy, that virtually everybody who's coming is there, is cheering them. It means even more. And we owe it to those players.
We were there all day, and it was a long old day.
It is a long day.
You know, it's a question no one wants to ask. And by the way, I was wondering, John Johnston obviously fractured his cheekbone.
And made a difference as well.
Gutted for the lad. He played his last game at Widnes. You know, what a way to go out. What a gutting way for him. But bigger and better, I'm sure we'll see him in Super League at some point next season.
Yep.
It's a long old day. The schoolboys game. Does it need to be changed now? All it's played in front of is proud parents and school team. I get all that.
But the gates aren't even open.
They're not open for the first half. You get a few people coming in at the end. We always enjoy watching it. That's not the point. I'm with you. I think you put the big game, or the 1895 game on before, and you have it. It's still going to be a long old day, but I think you've got to prioritise those two games, and maybe the kids' game. Maybe look, I don't know, put them on at Old. Can we get them on at Old Trafford?
Why can't turn it to the grand final?
I would have the kids' game at half time.
I think you can't play
that
for 10
foreshortens
minutes.
it for
You
maybe
can't
10
play
or
for
12
10
minutes.
I don't agree.
Because I think if you're a year 7 kid and you're playing in front of 65,000
you might not get to touch the ball.
Playing in front of,
you might not even touch the ball.
But you're playing at Wembley.
How old are year 7s?
11, 12.
They will be playing for longer minutes than that.
I know they want
if you look at 10 or 12 minutes, you look at the kids who are 5 and 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I disagree.
I think it's all part of that Wembley experience. The other thing I felt that was wrong, and we've rightly praised the dignitaries that were there for the main game, is that when you have the second game so far afterwards, and it kicked off late, and then there was the John Johnson injury as well. When the cup is presented to Sheffield, and you look at the pictures.
Yeah.
There's nobody there in the royal box.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
That is clearly wrong.
Yeah.
And again, it's about framing what you want this prestigious cup to mean.
Yeah.
So even when we know we wouldn't expect maybe Prince Harry to stay around the whole day, why isn't he in the royal box for the second game? So that at least when the cup is presented, the place behind is full.
Yeah. Dignity,
little
shaking
things
hands.
like that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
We've got to get that right.
And move the platform where they build the stage on the pitch. Move it to the end where their fans are, as opposed to But I know Sheffield. Someone like they got Sheffield not taking loads of fans. They haven't got loads of fans. What do you expect? Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday were playing idiots.
They took about 130 fans, and their average gate is just over 500.
Because they're playing a glorified park. Because
which ain't a bad
but again, we're saying how hard is it to get back? We left at 9 o'clock. You know, it's not that's not acceptable.
No,
that needs to turn it around.
I think overall it's been a success, hasn't it?
Yes.
I thought the atmosphere, even the Widnes fans, you wouldn't have known if you were sat there with your hands over your eyes. You wouldn't have said, "Oh, there's only about 5,000 people."
And to be fair,
you wouldn't have known
with
that.
the last 10 minutes, even though there were only maybe 120 of them,
you could hear
fans
them.
made themselves.
Yeah, you could hear them.
Absolutely.
When they realised it was coming back to the city after all of that heartache, they were great as well.
They were, absolutely.
They deserve better.
Yes,
but I think what we've seen on the field reaffirms the fact that the sport stands comparison with any other. That we can put on a big event and the players will always deliver.
Then, and I want people to get involved in this, how do we get the crowd bigger?
So how do we get them out again? It's just, well, I say it's because, as we know from back in everybody's days, and as I said earlier about I didn't see this shirt and that shirt, the RFL have to come up with a promotion or a marketing where all the clubs have to get involved, where say it's 1,000 tickets, you have to sell 1,000 tickets or whatever price from there. Amateur clubs get involved, back to working men's clubs like back in your day, Mark, and what have you.
Well, we went from the cricket club, we all went.
Well, wherever Rugby League's playing in the area, this is where we have to promote and market it and do it at the right price to get people back down there. And celebrate the event. That's what the Challenge Cup's all about. The Rugby Football League Challenge Cup is for everybody to celebrate. For everybody to celebrate.
Doesn't this go back to why you can't have a divided governing body? Because the Challenge Cup final is promoted by the RFL.
Yeah.
We want the Super League clubs to bring 1,000 people each. They're governed by a different governing body. The foundations of
We haven't
each
tweeted all day.
Super League club are the ideal people to get the communities together.
Yeah.
But where's the incentive if the governing body is a different one?
Yeah.
When we're talking about events, right? We're talking about selling. We need to sell rugby league to people who are not rugby league people, because people like to go see events. We saw that with the Olympics, World Athletics, or whatever. People will go and see stuff. So how do we get people who are not rugby league people interested? How do we make the Challenge Cup final an event that people want to see?
One of the things.
The problem with it is it's just at the moment a rugby league game or two rugby league games. In the past, when I went in the 90s on the school trips, you had people on before the game. You had entertainment.
But one
this
of
year
the
you've just
things
got the same choir we've had over and over again.
Yeah,
It's like
one of the
we go
things
to the well
we
with the
need
same
to
things.
do, we're not doing. If the reports in today's trade papers are correct, we are starting the season again next year in late January, with the early rounds of the Challenge Cup for the non-Super League teams being in early January. Now, how can you build that up as being a major event if your season is so long, B, you're still clearly going to have repeat fixtures? Because we wouldn't need to start so early if we weren't having them.
Well, Robert Elston told everyone last year that loop fixtures were a one-off because of the short-term nature of the the split or whatever had happened. They would be a one-off. They would not be a long-term proposition.
So if we're going to make the Challenge Cup special, you've got to make Rugby League special. Now, to make Rugby League special, you don't play the kind of format that we've got at the moment, where St Helens are playing Warrington for the 4th time this season. It could have been the 5th. It could even be they play each other again in the semi-finals this year, and they could play each other again at Old Trafford. There has to be a scarcity value that makes the Challenge Cup special. You're not going to make Rugby League special if people who don't normally follow the sport can see these two teams so often.
I've got some bits of business.
Go on.
Follow.
Oh yeah, we're on bun time. Yeah, go on. You take over now.
At the RL scene on Twitter says, can you get people to follow him? So, or her.
Hold on. Why should we do that?
I don't know.
Do they put out good quality content?
I don't know, they've got nearly 1,100 followers.
RL who?
Can they put a thing out telling people
At
to
the
follow us?
RLC.
Right.
There's no Rummies Rugby this week, so I can't talk about that. Elsewhere, here's...
Can't you do as an Instagram story on your friends at Leeds?
No, Leeds are not my friends.
Did they
I'm
behave?
Probably. Hi there, guys, says Justin. Into our evening show, could you please give us a shout out as we're aiming to break a world record rugby league touch for 2 local Hull charities. Many thanks, Justin. He sent me a picture. 48 hours of touch rugby, a Guinness World Record attempt. We said Guinness story with that. 6th to the 8th of September, 7 p.m. at the Hull University Sports Centre. If you want to donate for Hull for Heroes and Paul for the brain recovery, text BOHAM, B-O-H-A-M, to 70085 to donate £5. If you send us it in a tweet, Justin, we'll retweet it as well for you. So that's, I think, all the things people wanted reading out this week. If you want to get in touch at Forty20 Live, send us a message on Facebook, pick them up through the week, and we will do that again for you in next week.
Does that include the death threats? Do we pick them up during the week?
Something like that, yeah. So make sure you tune in and let us know. I feel like people just slagging us off on videos, that's always good.
Who's done that?
People think we've got agendas. By the way, there's no tolerance now on Twitter. We've got the ban hammer out and we're not afraid to use it now. So
that was the most enjoyable thing about the 3.5 hour drive home, just blocking idiots.
How many did you block? I heard you in the back just tapping a few.
If you want to be an idiot, we'll block you.
Yeah. If you want to,
and then when we block you, don't moan that we've blocked you.
We're just
because we won't see it anyway.
But we've got personal accounts, and then people tag you and go, "Oh, why have you blocked me?" Yeah, probably because you're saying things that we don't like.
We can't be bothered. We're not. I know people want us to drag us into something. We're not going to get dragged into it because we're not.
We're better than that
because we've got our own little fiefdom here, which we're very happy with.
Yeah,
and that's that.
Very good. Is that it? Are you going to go through some social media?
Yeah.
I don't feel you've read any out.
No, I've bits and pieces.
I've got a few bits I need to read.
Lawrence has been on. He's unhappy. Did you notice that as soon as the Warrington versus St Helens game finished, the BBC started packing cameras up, so there were no replays of the tries either at the ground or on the TV for the winless Sheffield game. I don't know why there weren't any replays, because usually on games that are on the app, because it was on the Our League app, wasn't it, as well? They do have the facilities for replays. So
there was no video referee either for the 1890.
I don't know why that was, Lawrence. I'd ask the RFL. Mary says Magic Weekend Day is just as long. Yeah, but people bugger off after their teams play, don't they?
Yeah.
What have we got?
I've only got fed once.
That wasn't right.
Just as a note to our friends at the RFL.
That fellow who nicked all the bread. Alan says, what about getting all the club's foundations annual get-together at Wembley?
Yeah, my argument goes back to, again, the club's foundations tend to be Super League clubs that are the most advanced. They need to be told by Super League. Super League have no interest in promoting the Challenge Cup.
Do we know when the rounds? We know when the final is, but do we know when the rounds are yet?
I
think I went to the cricket,
still
as you all know.
It's 7 weeks between the semi.
So I went to the cricket the other day, and the first thing I get when I walk out of the ground, I've got an email saying, "Oh, you had a great day at the cricket today. By the way, we're playing India and Australia. If you want to be in the ballot to get tickets, all you got to do is click on this link, and we'll get you. We'll do it all for you." Well, not quite that level, but you'll be in the ballot. You can get tickets. Yeah, it'll be great. You know, you've had a great day. Then the day after, I get not a big survey about my day, asking me about everything about my day. You know, how long did I have to wait for me tea or whatever, or you know. And I just thought that's what we need to be doing. Yes. Do we actually say to the people, "You've come today. Why? What happened? Was this good? Was that good?
How can we improve?"
Yeah, or maybe ask. You know, and is this not why they have databases where they go, "Well, that family came last year, but they haven't been this year."
Well,
drop them an email. Can you mind us asking why didn't you come?
We've got a World Cup game coming up at Arsenal in 2 years' time. You would hope that we were already doing some planning for that by gleaning the name and address of this millennial young lady that we were told about, because she needs an email saying, "Did you enjoy Wembley? There's a semi-final coming up at Arsenal."
If only she'd met Ralph Emmett, she could be like that Bradford Bulls fan he met. Yeah. There's a call back to about 3 years ago. So what, 3-4 years ago? I don't know. Elsewhere, Nigel says, and this is one of Schoey's favourites, and fair enough. I think it's not a bad idea. Put all the teams in the hat from round one. Sod it. If Saints play Wigan in the first round and Coventry play Leeds,
I think the big mistake we made at the start of this year was that whole debacle over trying to put a bond on Castle.
Well,
I think we demean our own competition if the holders are asked to pay to be in it. I don't know where that's ever happened in any other sport. I think the fact that Toronto and Toulouse choose not to be in it, I don't know any other sporting competition that's an open cup competition that teams can't play in.
But why then do we invite Red Star Belgrade?
Well, so you've got to sort out what your competition
Nothing
is.
Against Red Star.
If it's prestigious, surely everybody's got to be in it.
In fairness, you're saying you know when the cricket is next year at Headingley. We don't know when the Magic Weekend is.
No, I got asked. I've been asked this. When is it? Where is it? I want to book my hotel. I want to book time off work.
Accidentally,
it needs doing now.
And I'll tell you for why. I've booked a holiday next year in June because it's cheap to go when I've booked a holiday, because I am cheap. But it's around the time of the Magic Weekend and the Summer Bash, and if I miss them because I've booked the wrong week,
it's a problem. It's a problem. It needs sorting out. So they need to be a little bit more forward thinking.
Yes.
I am of the opinion. I think they should put a concert on or something to get just a whole new audience. Are we bothered if there's 90,000 people there, if 30,000 people are, Do York Racecourse, they bother when they put wet on and it's rammed. And they're all there, they still got to have a pint, they might have a bet while they're there, or they might not have a bet, but they'll still have a beer while they're waiting for the act to come on.
They see how good racing is, even though they've gone for something else. They might go back for the race.
And they've got no idea how...
and you know what, if they don't, the racecourse has still made the money anyway.
Yes.
They've got no idea how the standard of the racing is, do they?
Yeah. I just think that's something that could be done.
Well, I think you've said that before.
Yeah, but again, so all the Rugby League fans in harmony we've got, everybody, from the Super League clubs to the Championship and to the League One clubs. Ask them what would get them back. Ask them what would get them to Wembley. And let's not accept. Oh, if my team's not there, I'm not going. No, ask them the reason why and say, well, what would get you back to Wembley? You know what I mean? What would get you supporting the Rugby League event? Because with the so-called Rugby League family, what would get you to the biggest cup competition in world of Rugby League, back down to Wembley for us all to celebrate the biggest event in Rugby League calendar for me?
We see Wembley get sold out for the NFL.
Well, I was going to say about the NFL,
Do we need to look for a partnership with them? We see now more rugby players, rugby union and rugby league, going to the NFL. Do we need to say, look,
Yeah,
we need to try and work with you and
But again,
get a dovetail with you, and we
100%.
can get some of these people.
Well, at the end of the day, whoever promotes their game or marketing their game, because whether the RFL like it or not, we're absolutely pathetic at promoting and marketing the greatest game of all.
Yeah.
The biggest events what we do have. So we have to ask people's advice how we're going to get people.
And
to come.
it was a bit of a standing joke. The NFL used to send the worst teams, you know.
Like the Jaguars.
And you'd be like, oh, they're rubbish. No, but I'll still buy 4 tickets.
but
I'll still go.
but
Still
here's the
sold
thing,
out,
right?
even though, you know.
Who were Arsenal playing this weekend?
Liverpool.
At
Was,
Liverpool.
and was that on the Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we need to partner up with Arsenal. Was that at Liverpool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to come up with some marketing idea with Arsenal, who, let's face it, are hosting one of our biggest games in 2 years' time, and say, can you send out to all of your fans who won't be going to Liverpool the fact that they could come to Wembley and experience rugby league a year and a half in advance for 15 quid?
Two things. It's not just rugby league. Lancashire Cricket Club have just tweeted their Vitality Blast home quarter final is going to be played in at Durham because of the Ashes that's being played at Old Trafford. So it's not just rugby league.
No, but
that'd be sickening for them. That'll be a few quid.
Hey, Mark, I'm going to the cricket on Thursday, the 2020 on Thursday. I've been invited there.
Have you?
Thursday.
Bit
Corporate.
of hospitality.
Well,
No
my
hospitality.
boss was a big cricket fan. He's
He's
invited.
Need a
me.
guest?
I'll see you. If I'm,
Need a guest?
Hold on. I'll see. I don't know how many
Richard
tickets.
will go.
I don't know how many.
I'm busy.
I don't know how many tickets he's
isn't
got.
it? Can't Yorkshire can't win, can they?
I don't know. I've got a clue.
No.
I
I
don't
think
know.
put the boot in, Phil.
Was it Yorkshire who's playing?
It's a
Is it?
shame, isn't it?
Can't we get Ben Stokes?
Who
Near
they're
Yorkshire.
Who they're playing?
Someone else.
Durham, aren't they?
I don't know.
I don't know. No, is it Warwickshire? I don't know.
I've got a clue.
No.
I know we said this before. The NFL has a massive budget. Rugby league has about 4 pence compared to them. But you've been to the NFL. I've been to the NFL. When you go to Wembley for it, although Wembley at the moment is just a whole building site
Yeah,
around
it's-
the ground. But at the other side, if you're coming from the other way, there was loads of stuff to do when I went to the NFL. They had a massive shop full of NFL-related tats, which I avoided.
Because you'd have bought it.
Well, yeah, and otherwise I'd end up like Bolton Wanderers or Bury. I wonder if the just on a tangent, I found a blog I wrote earlier. I should send it to Phil to publish in the magazine. It's brilliant. It's one of the best things I've ever written. Mainly because it's full of bile.
Says him.
Full of bile. It's great.
How was the article you wrote, Richard? Oh, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought you said we didn't retweet praise.
Yeah, well,
Did you just
I'm
say praising yourself
yeah.
now?
Well, I've been watching these other rugby league programmes, and what they have is they have a bloke in the corner dressed in clothes they should be wearing by someone about 20 years younger than them, and they just sit there.
Are you wearing
praising
that
them.
T-shirt as a bet?
Yeah, they just sit there praising themselves all the time.
Did you lose?
I've decided to go down that route. And on that, I referenced that great programme that the BBC put out on the day of the launch of the Super League season in 2013.
Well, we were going bust.
Yeah, rugby
Yeah.
league's going bust. And then, lo and behold, Bolton Wanderers and Bury. You know.
Well, the argument I had with the
Where's-
said presenter on that programme was, have a look at Bolton Wanderers. They owe more money than Super League put
Well,
together. Oh, they'll never go bust, he said. They'll never go bust.
Talking of Bolton Wanderers, where's our semi-final double header going to be?
Well, it might be, we can buy the stadium.
It might be at Bury.
Yeah,
Or Bury.
Bury, famous market.
We're not making light, by the way,
No.
of Bolton and Bury's
No,
predicament.
it's
It's horrible
desperate.
for the fans, but it just shows. And this is... Bolton have had... Every club wants... I wish we had an owner who had loads of money. Eddie Davis has put in probably well over 200. The last figure I got quoted was 185 million, and that was years ago. The guy that owned Bolton Wanderers.
What should have called Anderson?
No,
Before.
it is now, yeah.
Oh.
Eddie Davis sold it.
All right.
But he'd put in, I'd say, well in excess of 200 million of his own cash. Didn't ask for it back, walked away. So he's put all that money in, and that club has still gone bust. How badly run must that club have been?
Well, I would heard indeed that Ken Anderson, he paid himself 500 grand a year, and one of his family 500 grand.
Well,
So
we,
what's that
we
for?
can't comment.
When-
on that.
No, we have to say it on radio, Matt. You know what I mean, and this sort of thing.
Yeah,
You know.
no, I'm not saying it's not true,
You know,
but
so-
it's, it's...
Do you remember when we worked at another place and the theory was to get the owner of said place to try and buy Bolton Wanderers so we could do a documentary about it. But even he,
even he didn't want it.
yeah, and he's,
And he had a quid already
Yeah.
polished in his pocket to buy it. And
he was
even
good-
he
he
didn't
was
want it.
good
Even he
for-
thought, I can't
and
make
he
it.
He
never-
was good for buying stuff for a quid.
he didn't own Ellen Road though. He didn't own Ellen Road. It's what that documentary said. Anyway, I got lost. NFL. When you go to the NFL at Wembley and you walk to the ground, there's loads of stuff to do around there.
Yeah.
There's a big shop. There's blah blah blah. There's entertainment before the game. I know they've got a bigger budget than us, but c'est la vie. There's a new. You're going because it's an event, and that's what we need to make things. There's no. you don't go to the game and, Tom Brady's not going to be there, is he, or any superstar NFL player, because they don't send those teams over all the time. But we need to find a way of making rugby league sexy again, and I don't know how we do that.
Rugby Union have done it though.
Yeah, and rugby union's crap.
That when they have events at Twickenham, be they even things like the Middlesex Sevens, they get people to those events, and they go because it's they have their double-header club games at Twickenham. They get 80,000.
Yeah, but they do. But quite often, some of the teams involved are London teams.
Yeah.
And
our response to that is to possibly have London relegated.
Yeah, kick him out. Kick him out.
I'm
going down. You're going down. You're getting a bit of hospitality this week, I've heard, aren't you?
I am.
Have you heard this, Schoey? Old Phil has got his snout in the trough.
What's that?
Hospitality at London on Sunday afternoon, London Leeds.
Thanks to the London Broncos Supporters Association.
All right. Rich, did you get an invite? Gary, did you get an invite? No, I didn't get an invite.
No.
So, three of us didn't and you did.
James has been on. He's trying to kill the 1895 Cup final off already.
What?
Should the 1895 final be moved next season somewhere like Huddersfield? No. Because,
even Huddersfield fans don't go to Huddersfield.
Lads,
and that includes the football team.
Win a cup final. This is how they kill the Northern Rail Cup, by taking it from Blackpool to Halifax. Should we go somewhere where we can go all the time? No.
I would say view the interview on 4020 with Anthony Thackeray, and you can tell him that next year they're playing at Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Let's go to Huddersfield. Having already killed Sheffield off in a roundabout way the first time. And what a great thing that's been, because rugby league in Huddersfield's booming at the minute.
So you talk about that, and again, an event back in my amateur days, our National Cup finals was played at Blackpool. Everybody went. Whichever Yorkshire, Lancashire, Cumbria, everybody went to Blackpool again. An event. Everybody celebrated the weekend. Whichever different clubs were from there, and then what did they go and do? Take it away from there. Took it to Headingley. Nobody turned up. Again, nobody. Because what's the point going to Headingley? What's that event that's supposed to be?
You want a Jolly Boys, you want a bus trip, don't you?
We know we've got Blackpool for the week, Friday till Sunday, and we make it a night of it, all day Sunday from there. And again, they just made an absolute tours of it, changed it from Blackpool, took it to Headingley, and just turned it flat.
Are we talking about the other news story? Or are we not?
What about the Bulls? Yeah, of course we are.
Because this is why it's a flawed argument to say the RFL should, because they own the lease of the Odsal Stadium, the iconic Odsal Stadium, sorry to give it its full title, that they should spend lots of money that we haven't got on doing it up into some kind of massive home of rugby league where we can play test matches and Challenge Cup finals or whatever, because there's no actual excitement about going to Bradford, and it's not Bradford.
I live in Bradford.
It's like saying, it's like the cup finals in Halifax, the cup finals in Huddersfield, the cup finals at Wigan.
Mark, what do the fans think of this? Have you heard any? Is there anything in the local media? You live in Bradford. What the fans say? They can't be happy. Surely,
what about the Bull? Right. We'll come on to that in 1 minute. Yeah, you jumped the gun there. Right? No, it's all right. I just want to round up the old cup final. No, let's round it up, then we'll move on. Cup final weekend. Daryl Clark, man of the match.
Fully deserved.
Rich and I voted for him. You didn't. Who do you vote for?
Bryson Goodwin.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think
I'll let you off.
You've got to say your vote is partly contingent upon when your voting slip is collected.
I voted for Daryl Clark just before he scored that try.
Yeah,
so I felt quite pleased with myself at that point.
I'd already handed mine in before.
But
I'd already written mine out.
Judging by the article on the rugby-league.com website, the home of Rugby League, some people were able to vote via text message and other electronic means outside of the press box.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, I think that should be applicable to all who are voting, because then at least we would know by the end of the game who had made the most significant contribution.
What's cheering for me with Clark, because Jack Hughes, he was sensational for me, and he was very, very close to Clark. He was scoring that try. I don't think there'll be any argument said, to be honest.
Did Hughes do things that perhaps players would notice more than non-players? Because Chris Hill, in the interview, that's also on 4020, blah, 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 was gushing with praise for Jack Hughes. But I didn't notice what he did as much as Daryl Clark. Was Daryl Clark more, I don't say flash or showing, but
let me put it
more noticeable?
Let me try and put it in perspective from a point of view. When the team sheets came out from there and Ben Curry was there in the standoff, I just went, where's the creativity coming? Where is it coming from there? Because as good as what Ben Curry is a wide runner. What Ben Curry wants to do, he wants to bust the line, then look for the pass for the support player. So totally different from there. So I picked it up straight away. I was looking how close is Bradford going to be playing to the ruck area. He wasn't playing anywhere near. Declan Patton was doing a bit of support play, looking for to take the pressure off for a kicking game. And then I noticed straight away, Jack Hughes is playing like an old-fashioned loose forward. He was going to the line, he was dictating, just taking the pressure off Bradford from there. And that, again, is a great solution. And also, as well, putting the trust and the confidence in Jack Hughes, what Steve Price did. Because I'm sure Price said to him, Jack, would you be prepared to do this? Do you think you can handle it? And I'll tell you what.
Hughes went to him.
Well,
I said, if you've got a problem on the right, I'm your man.
Well, I'm just going to say to you, Phil, and I bet you Jack Hughes, I get goosebumps down when I talk about these players, when coaches give him that trust. And I tell you what, I'm just going to say, I bet Jack Hughes says, tell you what, leave it to me, boss. Leave it to you, like what Mal really said to me after, I costed the game for Pappenhausen. Can you play this number 6? Yeah, I can, Mal. Why? Well, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to play? You're the main man on the field. That'll do for me. Jack Hughes would have been absolutely delighted because his coach has put the trust and the confidence that he could take that role on, and he did it absolutely brilliantly. He did. So we're happy with Clark as
yeah. Best team won on the day. We'll talk about Saints' chances at Old Trafford. Well done, Sheffield. Great game.
Yeah.
Best team probably won that one as well.
Success. The 1895 club. We know it needs tinkering, but overall it was a success. Well done to witness Sheffield for supporting.
Yeah. From a behind-the-scenes perspective, can't fault anything that the RFL.
Apart from no second meal, but that's us being
and people not behaving, but that's not their fault.
Yeah. So good. We're all happy.
Yeah.
When you're there at work, we just got to get more.
Positivity.
Just get some more people. We just need to get more people there.
Do not
to celebrate the event.
The event away from the National Stadium.
Can't
It's
be.
still the highest profile that we get in the sport, and we need to find ways of making it more attractive.
And the two Aussie coaches both love it.
And I'll tell you what as well.
The players couldn't have done
anything. You know what? We saw it last week, didn't we? When Blair Costin got an interview before the Wigan game. All right, he was on the field and after and all this sort of thing, but he would have been thinking, oh, I wish I'd have had my socks and shorts and shirt on rather than just been dressed up in the attire from there. Because that's what it means. I'm telling you, fellas, this is what the Challenge Cup means. This is what Wembley means from there. And I'll repeat myself, and I will always say the Challenge Cup is the biggest cup competition in World Rugby League, and everybody wants to be part of it.
Well, we will not be getting Prince Harry going to the grand final.
And he also won't be going to Bradford.
And again, Prince Harry, absolutely brilliant for the game of Rugby League, the way he put himself forward and promoted the event itself.
Even staunch Republicans would have been pleased with Prince Harry.
Yeah, it was.
And I think the fact that the Buckingham Palace tweeted a lot about what he was doing that afternoon, that's how you hit a new audience.
Absolutely.
It was a great day for Warrington and England, who apparently were also playing some other thing with the two fat blokes on the pitch. I was going to say something, I've completely forgotten what it was, but I'm sure it would have been hilarious and witty as everything that comes out of my mouth is, but I can't remember what it was. Oh no, I can remember. It was Daniel, who said, because it's leaked out. I always wonder, because you know when you go to like a major cup final, at the end of the match, not necessarily in rugby league but in football, so it's Champions League final, they're all there in the t-shirts, aren't they, after the game? We've won the Champions League, yeah, look at us.
Yeah.
What happens to the ones for the other team? There's a picture floating around on the internet of the bus in St Helens with Challenge Cup winners 2019 on the side of it.
Tommy Nakis
has
got some criticism for leaving his runners-up medal on the pitch.
Did he?
Understandable, isn't it?
Well, he could have sold it on eBay. Should have had a word with Keith Senior.
No, but I mean, that's not a place you want to lose. So if he didn't want to collect his medal,
no, you've got to collect and respect it for what you're.
The good thing was that all the
you've got to collect, and really you got to. Because I know exactly what you do. Because I've done it myself. Because I've won any medals. I've only got the runners up one. They're in the cupboard.
But all of the Saints players
eBay.
Showed great respect for Warrington. All waited around. I think there was some issues last year with, when Catalan got the cup and their medals, there was nobody there to appreciate them. And I think Saints
it was well done.
Will use that.
I enjoyed it. I thought the respect. Certainly, the witness players did the same. I thought a great moment at Cale. I think he waited at the bottom of the stairs and he shook hands with every Sheffield player as they came down the stairs. I thought class, absolute class. And done exactly right.
Now that figures now. I reckon Tommy Makinson went back to get his medal because he went to the bus after the game to put his bag.
So he did collect it from the Royal Box then?
Yes, he collected it, and I think he left it on the pitch because they then waited around for Warrington to go up and get theirs, and he was so disappointed that he left it on the pitch.
Did he do it on purpose? Not doing it by accident.
Well, this is what I mean. He said to a couple of our journalistic colleagues that he was going to put his bag on the bus and he was going to come back. And I think they're still in the tunnel.
Waiting. Look, the guy was gutted, wasn't he? He didn't go to lose, did he?
Jack
he didn't
Hughes.
go to lose. Well done, the players, for fronting up those that did.
Yes.
Tough. I've been there having to interview the losing team. It's not a nice thing. It's an interview no one wants to do. We don't want to have to ask the questions. They don't want to answer them. But you still need reaction whether you've won or lost.
I can tell you, it's happened to me 3 times at Wembley. It is the worst place ever.
I've tried to interview you.
Forget about semi-finals or whatever. If you lose at Wembley, it is the worst feeling ever. It is, and that's what it means. That's what it means. It is.
We're still right behind the charts, by the way, because the emails just come out. Luxembourg, right.
Mexico. Where else?
The US of States.
Have we cracked it in Azerbaijan yet?
Not yet. It's not on the list. Switzerland. I think that's Carsten, isn't it? Ireland, Great Britain. The other day, I can't remember where it was. It was somewhere random in the world. We were above Brian Moore's podcast, so we took that as a great compliment.
Burundi.
Was it Burundi? Probably.
No, I just made that.
That was the Democratic Republic of Belial.
Dr. Congo, are they listening?
Dr. Belial.
The Belials like it.
The posse.
Obviously,
they do.
They do.
Right.
Like it. The fixtures. Now the season's hotting up.
Oh, it is. We'll do that in a bit. We're going to talk Bradford.
Just before we talk Bradford, London Scholars against Hunslet. That was the Friday Night Lights game.
Yeah.
1,000 people there. I'm not sure as many go now as used to go and make that weekend of it, but another good quality game. Hats off to the Scholars for staging an excellent one and Hunslet stealing it at the end.
Yeah. With a forward pass.
Looked it.
Good social media by the RFL throughout the weekend as well.
In what respect?
Just all the videos and stuff they put out.
Yeah.
You've got to give them credit because they're getting it out there ASAP.
Well, I'm going to give them credit now for what I think is the...
Yeah, we're still the top rugby league podcast in Britain on the rugby charts, apart from all the ones that haven't changed their category to rugby yet. So don't do that, lads. Yeah.
What are you telling him for?
Yeah,
Leave it.
Still there.
Obviously, news broke. We mentioned it last week about the Bulls. And I've been hammered on social media. Oh, all you do is moan about the Bulls. Yeah, whatever. I'll ask questions when they need asking. And I'm asking questions. I've been asking questions of the RFL last week because it was our understanding the Bulls were in special measures. We asked for a definitive answer. We were told that the RFL would never, ever, ever confirm whether a club is in special measures or not. Which to me, if they're not in special measures, you say, no, they're not in special measures, which would confirm they're not in special measures. Then the RFL came out with their statement on Friday. What a statement, by the way, where they have basically...
They've done a Danny Cipriani with that bus on the Otley Run, right underneath it.
Yeah, they have. They have reluctantly allowed the Bulls to move out of Odsal for 1 year because they couldn't... What was it? There was no credible plan to get back to Bradford. And they confirmed that Bradford are in special measures. So, wow, who'd have thought it? So when we've been getting hammered all the time for questioning the Bradford Bulls for being a problem, and there's still a problem, and it seems to me the problem is only getting worse. Now, I spent the weekend with quite a few Bradford fans. They've had enough. They've had enough now. This is, someone politely told me, a Bulls, lifelong Bulls fan, this is the third last game at Odsal he's been to this weekend against Sheffield. Now, the Bulls could still make the top 5. They could still reach Super League. This could still all happen. The miracle could happen. They need Featherstone to lose both games. It could happen. How can Bradford be in special measures when they've received extra funds from a sale of a player, very good player, £100,000. They've had a great cup run, 2 games on the telly, bumper crowd against Leeds. They've had extra money coming into their club, and yet they're still in special measure. Unbudgeted income, and yet they're still losing money. That was a hell of a statement, Phil, from the RFL, coming out and saying that they're in special measures. And basically, I think they've discredited Andrew Chalmers, haven't they?
Yes. There are some questions to be asked about why he was given the club to run in the first place. And as we said last week, and I stand by, this isn't a story about Bradford moving to Dewsbury next year, which is what Bradford tried to make it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all about the expenses at Odsal, so we need to move. In fact, we have moved before we've even got permission to move, and we're putting season tickets on sale even before we've had permission to move. I think that is just the latest manifestation of a story that goes back probably 15 years. And there is a proper investigation needs doing. But the question that needs asking on the back of the RFL statement, which is absolutely unequivocal and clearly laid the blame at the door of the people that own Bradford at the moment, is why then was those people allowed to take charge of the club as a preferred bidder at the time.
And why were they allowed to take control of the club and not sign a new lease?
Well, there are some serious fingers that point back to the RFL, but I think what they've decided to do is go on the offensive with this and say, look, just don't blame us for current mismanagement of Bradford. There are things that we clearly haven't done that perhaps we will at some point be held accountable for, but what we're not going to do is make it easy for Bradford, who have mismanaged their affairs again this year. We have it on very, very good authority that Bradford's wage bill is the second highest in this division, and that it's patently obvious that the highest one is Toronto, who are spending as if they were a Super League team. That should guarantee a certain level of success in a division where clearly there is a massive disparity with what you get at the bottom and what you get at the top, which is why you have to praise York, who have grossly overachieved on the budget that they get. But the very minimum requirement this year for the Bulls was to make the 5. And the likelihood is they're not going to. And the main reason for that is not just they're reliant on other teams, but their points difference is really poor as well. And I think that the issue is not we have to move to Dewsbury because Odsall's too expensive, but we have to move to Dewsbury because we need to go part-time next year and start to cut our cloth according to our means. And that can fairly and squarely and only be aimed at the owners of Bradford.
Rich, you got anything you want to add?
No, because I've got an agenda against Bradford apparently.
I think there's another issue, and that is that the insecurity of rugby league as a sport means that we have always overprized the involvement of a city. So many of our clubs and so much of our history is made around towns, and that one of the things that we need to do to pull in more interest, more income, more sponsorship is supposedly to preserve the very few cities that play. And everybody's looked at Bradford and said 700,000 people, had some great times not that long ago. We need at some point to have them back in Super League, because what rugby league needs is a city like Bradford. I would say, what are we doing about a city like London? What are we doing about a city like Newcastle? You know, you can't. Is the time now saying Bradford need to sink or swim at a level at which Bradford are currently at? And the biggest mistake that the RFL made was to keep them in the Championship and deduct them 12 points, because they would have organically regrown being at the bottom of the league ladder in League
Yeah, as
One.
we said, they should have gone down.
Yeah. So there's culpability all the way along the line, which doesn't just start in this season. But I think if we're serious about cities to sustain the sport, at the moment, Bradford isn't one of them.
Let me take you back an hour when I said, when we were talking about Sheffield, that they've been screwed over so many times by different people in the past. Not all of their own making. I'm not saying everything that's Sheffield's situation where they are now and everything is down to other people. I'm sure Sheffield, the reason they merged with Huddersfield in the past, you know, it's all there about cash, isn't it? But they had their stadium taken away from them by the council, who were going to build this great facility, which they built a park, a glorified park.
Yeah.
You know,
with a fence round
that's
it.
on the council, and Mark Aston says that on the interview we did with him, rightfully furious about that. And you know, all clubs can point to things where politicians have come out and my team has had politicians pitch up around election time and then amazingly disappear, failing to keep their promises. What a surprise! One of the other issues at Bradford, and a lot of people can attribute blame to a lot of different individuals, and you've also got to put some blame, and this, people will take this the wrong way, and we look at some of the things that get said about us on social media. Schoey gets it easy compared to us, Mark.
He does, yeah. He does. How does it feel being the most popular member of the show?
Take the mic out of him.
I'm not joking.
I'm sure I am. I'm sure
You're not far off, pal. You're not far off.
We've got our own opinions on who those people are and probably where they're coming from. However, some people who have to take the blame for where Bradford are now, and I'll come to what should happen in the future, are the minority of fans, and it will be a minority, who are happy to accept whatever bullshine comes out of the mouth of whoever is running the Bradford Bulls at that time, without questioning it. I saw it at my club for years when it's been run into the dirt, that there are a minority of supporters who, for whatever reason, maybe they get free tickets or something from people, or they think they're close to, they think they can be friends with the chief executive or the chairman or whatever, or the owner. So they lap up all the crap they're told and believe it and discredit anyone who says otherwise. I said on the video on Saturday after the game, because we all predicted Saints to win, and Paul Bennett at the start of the thing said it was fake news, and said, well, the only people who talk about fake news are Donald Trump and Andrew Chalmers. And the fact is, Andrew Chalmers came out a few weeks ago to discredit a story by Matt Shaw, and look who was
this
right.
about the signing of the player?
Look who was right. Look who was right. So you people who believe all this crap and discredit everyone else, you're part of the problem. What needs to happen is they have to start completely from scratch. Someone retweeted a programme we did in another place.
Yeah,
from
2017.
Yeah.
From
Same conversation.
7th of January 2017, right? On that programme, I wasn't there, you all talked about the Bradford Bulls situation. And it was 6 days later that Bradford Bulls 2017 Limited were formed. It has to start completely from scratch. The new Bradford Bulls were given the name, given the history, even though they weren't, the website, the social media, and were a continuation, despite the fact we were told they weren't. They are a continuation. That's why there was all the court cases. New Bradford has to start completely again. I don't know where they're going to play. Maybe play at Horsforth and build it up. I don't know. I don't care particularly, but they have to start completely again. Different name, different colours, whatever. They can't be related to this complete and consistent failure. And we go back to the 60s when they went bust. We go back to the last 10 years where time and time again, whoever's been in charge, the same result has happened. Start completely again. Football has 92 professional clubs in the Football League, and that's too many. If Bolton and Bury go, football's still going to exist. We have to accept that. Why are we propping up Bradford? Why were they given a loan? We all believe they were given, or advance money, or whatever it was.
Well, the RFL have acknowledged
so
that.
Why was it important to keep Bradford over any other club? Because how many other clubs have been given that level of funding, that level of help for their stadium? Well, I take the mickey with the sign iconic. That statement was a load of crap. It's based on the fact that 200,000 people were there for a game which didn't even involve Bradford in 1954. Most of that audience will be dead now. We're talking about an audience that aren't there. We're talking about a club that isn't there. We're talking about it's based on myth, based on mythology. You go back to 1997. There's a great BBC documentary about Hull Kingston Rovers, how they were in the bin and had to start all over again. And yeah, no, they've got the same name or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Times have changed. They only went bust once, didn't they? Not consistently. And what happens next year? This stadium's not going to be built in 2 years in Bradford. Where's the site for this stadium that's going to be built? Where's the planning permission? Wakefield had a site which had a government inquiry into it, and where's that stadium now? It's a big bloody fridge. It's not getting built, and that's 10 years ago or whatever. The Sir Rodney Walker Megadome does not exist. It's just, I don't want to say lies because that's probably unfair, but people have been spun a yarn and continue to believe this.
There's still been no official. The official response from the Bulls was clearly penned prior to the announcement.
All they put out is social media about come to the last game.
Yeah, but their official response from Chalmers was, "Oh yeah, we're delighted we got to Dewsbury," or blah 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 for 2 years, and then someone's had to edit in the paper and go, "Actually, it's 1 year." And they're on about strengthening the team. They're in special measures. They cannot sign any players.
As they stand at the moment, as far as we are led to believe, they have 12 contracted players for next year.
Yeah, they cannot sign any players that are out of contract.
And yet season tickets have gone on sale.
Yeah. That man is killing the Bulls, isn't he? Andrew Chalmers, in my opinion.
I think the question
killing
is, why is he the man in charge at the Bulls? I think that's the bigger question. Who sanctioned him to be a part owner of the Bulls? And what were the financial guarantees given? Bearing in mind that even a cursory look over some of his acknowledged and publicly available business dealings would indicate that even if he'd used his house as collateral, which he may well have done, he hasn't got the wherewithal to live at the means with which the Bulls have been trying to live at.
As Graham's pointing out, when's work starting on Cass's new ground? And again, it's not a knock on Cass.
I heard today that Cass's new ground is in the offing on the basis of the fact that they needed something like 70% commercial occupancy of the site, which is other companies like Marks and Spencer's and Costco. They've just hit that.
Brilliant.
Right.
Brilliant, that's great.
So I think the news is that Castleford can now
Good.
begin
And,
to develop.
in fairness, they're not relying on handouts to keep them going, are they?
No.
There is a big difference.
There was a commercial business plan that said you need to get this amount of occupancy, you can have your stadium. And because of the economic problems that there have been, the uncertainty over Brexit being one of them, they haven't had the tenants, but they now have enough signed up for work to begin.
Every club, Wigan in the not too distant past, well, I can't say every club, not every club's had financial troubles, but a lot of teams have had financial issues. Let's face it, all sport in this country is built on sand, apart from Man United, which is built on the deck of Man United, thanks to the Glazers. But it's all built on sand.
But that's clever business.
Yeah, it is.
That's clever business.
It's all built on having the dint of fortune that usually a man, has made millions of pounds doing something, loves a team and wants to throw it at that team to become successful, like Jack Walker did at Blackburn Rovers, and you see what happens to Blackburn Rovers when Jack Walker's not there and it's taken over by some random foreign people and they, don't know what they're doing. We all accept that sport is what it is, and it's not necessarily a sustainable business model unless you play it right. And Bradford have to cut their cloth.
As you've seen at Wakey, once you sell your only asset,
the best thing that's happened this year.
Absolutely not. We've seen it with Wigan to a certain degree. That they are guessing their own house. They sold their ground, they all won.
Yeah.
And they are now. It's taken them a long time, and now they're working out how to maximise their income for next year.
6 weeks away from their house.
It's same at Huddersfield. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. And until someone, and I challenge Andrew Chalmers, tells me why he has that club, right, and why he's willing to fund a club losing money, then I just can't believe a word that he says. Also worth noting, what do the RFL do with Odsal now? Should they sell it? Because it's our understanding it's going to cost them at least $10,000 a month just to, even if they shut it up and left it, it'll still cost them. In fact, it'll be $20,000 a month because the rates apparently are $10,000 a month, and then $10,000 a month to keep the site secure so that no one gets in and nicks whatever's left. So that's $20,000 a year that the RFL don't have. That's like Catalan getting to Wembley again. They're going to lose $240,000 a year.
The crowd at Wembley goes back to what we said right at the very beginning of the programme. You're talking about a governing body that has a real deficiency of funding at the moment and will not have budgeted an extra $20,000 a month to secure what is no longer an asset.
So what do they do? Do they sell it? Do they just come out and sell it and get rid of it?
Yeah. Is it theirs or is it the council's on the council?
Well, they own the lease to it, don't they? So they could sell that lease to someone else.
Oh, sorry, so there's just a lease what they own.
Yeah.
Right.
So if someone, for instance, wanted to speak to the council about building a lot of houses on it, they could buy the lease and say, right, we want to do this, and they'd go, great.
So what do they pay for the lease? $750,000 or something for the RFL?
I think they paid more than that for it, didn't they? But,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
but
they
I
need
think
to sort that out.
There would be a developer out there, bearing in mind that seems to be that the development plan for that part of Bradford now involves housing, which it didn't maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think somebody then at the RFL has to come out and say, even if there was a logic to buy the lease to the ground at the time we did, it's now flawed logic.
Yeah.
What we need to do is get a developer involved. We need to rationalise our asset. As part of that, every single member of the Rugby League, so all of the clubs would effectively say, let's pick a figure at completely at random, we'll get £20,000 dividend.
Yeah.
So if you're Swinton or you're Hunslet, that might be your lifeline for a couple of years.
Yeah.
If you're Leeds or Wigan, maybe it's not so much, but you're members of this club. So, as a shareholder, you're entitled to the dividend. Let Odsal, as it currently sits, be redeveloped. And I was having this chat with somebody today, and I think Gary might even back this up because he's played at both of these grounds and one's close to his heart. But when I was growing up, I couldn't imagine that Rugby League would not have its two most intimidating away grounds. One was Wildispool, and the other, of course, was the Boulevard. Now, I can't imagine that if I go back to the teenage me, that you're going to tell me that Warrington and Hull are playing in brand new stadiums. Not only that, but they're getting crowds on a par, or in Warrington's case, more than they were getting at Wildispool. They still exist and they're still successful. They lost an asset that I would have thought at that time was irreplaceable. And to be fair to the fans at Warrington, they've made the Halliwell-Jones not quite as intimidating as Wilderspool because of the way Wilderspool was configured. You had to walk through a housing estate to get there, and that was threatening enough in itself. And all of the land around the boulevard, just to get into the ground, it was intimidating because it was all Hull fans deliberately wanting to make you feel unwelcome because it was their home, it wasn't your home. So yeah, let's be honest. Odsal and those historic pitches that Rich talks about will still exist. But fill it in, build a housing estate, including that agreement that the developer has to redevelop the Richard Dunn Sports Centre as a 10,000 all-seater stadium for a team with Bradford's name to play in, which would be a new team and not the Bulls. And then everybody wins, and give a dividend to all the clubs, and everybody wins.
I just think
that's
should
my
sell
only,
it.
that's
I think now this whole debate, given the RFL stance in that statement, has taken a turn, and I think it's a turn for the worse for the Bradford Bulls.
Well, I think
they're in big trouble.
I think there are some people who are at the RFL who were involved in that decision to buy Odsal, who will now have an element of egg on their face. I think there are other people involved at the senior level of the RFL who have come in relatively new to all of that.
There's been calls, Phil, for an independent review of this. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think we've got a chairman at the moment who is only an interim chair. Well, I get the feeling that he's going to apply to be the permanent chair, who I think doesn't come with any baggage. And I think that he is the kind of person that might even ask for an independent review or even undertake it himself. But I think the statement...
Well, it can't be independent if he does it, though.
Well, I think the statement that's... It is because I don't think he's independent in the sense that he wasn't involved in the decision to...
But he's still going to be judging
on
on people that he works with. That's not independent, is it?
I think that it might need that inside knowledge in some respects. But I think what the statement showed, and it was authored in his name, was that I'm not going to stand for this.
Yeah, agreed.
I represent a sport where... whatever's gone on in the past, this is my line in the sand. And I think Simon Johnson needs real credit.
No, it was the best statement the RFL have ever produced.
For saying, no, we're not accepting Bradford's version.
I think they're under the point. I think if the Bulls lose on Sunday in the last ever game at Odsal, I think they're a really murky water because their fate in respect to the 5, I've still got a sneaking suspicion, they could still make it because Fev have got 2 tough games. We'll see what happens. I want to draw a line.
Yeah, just the last thing on it. The accusations that we get on social media and whatever, I got people actually listen to what we say. We want every team, every club to be successful. I mean, I had a message from Kev, a Saints fan, yesterday saying an element of Saints fans were questioning Holbrook because they lost the Challenge Cup final. They picked the team that we all thought were going to win by 20 points.
Yeah.
People don't
a
listen.
team that are 16 points clear, still at the top of the division.
People on social media who come out and criticise us for having an opinion, when you watch so many different programmes and so many different podcasts and whatever, no one comes out and has an opinion. No one sends any prediction. We put our heads online with the predictions every week, get them wrong half the time, 75% of the time, 90% of the time, and get stick for it. People don't put their head above the parapet. We're willing to do that, and yes, we have to accept the criticism, but actually listen to what we say. There's no agendas here. And if you believe there are...
Only what's best for the sport.
If you believe there are, go listen to something else because you're not going to find what you want to hear. And don't send tweets to us during the day saying, don't listen to that programme, it's crap. Don't listen. Okay. There's plenty of rugby league programmes.
We are the only show that will tell you to sod off and listen to something else if you don't like it. It's a free will.
If Odsal didn't exist, would rugby league cease to exist?
In Bradford?
No, just rugby league generally.
Not no one else.
So the governing body has a responsibility to the sport as a whole.
To protect the sport.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they do that. Right, okay, let's move on. Let's have a look at what's coming up this week. I need to have a look at the paper, really, get the fixtures. I can tell you what's happening on Thursday because the freshly drunk Warrington Wolves will be dragging themselves out of the old battle cruiser.
Do you think they've done a whole lot like they did with the Challenge Cup a few years ago?
Yeah.
Where they're on the drink till Wednesday.
No training this week.
Believe so. Whoever's sober's playing.
Plenty of coffee.
Andrew Henderson.
Possibly, yeah.
He had a great game.
Not sure Ben West will be after he was in the tunnel.
Oh, well, he had a few beers, let him off. Right, we are live. Salford against Warrington Thursday night. Right, legend. Salford a week off. Big win over Hull. Chomping at the bit. Potentially 2 wins. I reckon they're 2 wins away from guaranteeing the top 5. Are they going to get one on Thursday against a Warrington team they've already beaten twice at the Halliwell Jones?
Well, they were delighted that Warrington won on Saturday because obviously the celebration is what they're doing from there. And Warrington played Saturday. Salford have just said have had 10, 12 days off, and Warrington on the drink. So Salford plenty of confidence. They want to make the 5, and Hastings is in great form. Brilliant win against the Black and Whites. Plenty of points from there, and I think you can only go for Salford, can't you? Because Warrington, they will know the next 3 fixtures from there, what they need to do to make the 5. They're still celebrating. Salford want to make the 5. They're desperate. So I'm going Salford to beat Warrington. I'm going to Salford. Sorry, Salford fans, but I'm tipping you this week, and I'm going for them to beat Warrington by 14.
I think the fact that Salford can go level with Warrington is a massive incentive. I think the fact that
Could go above them if they're beaten by 24 points.
I think the other thing that it's really interesting now is points difference, because it looks to me like somebody could miss out on the 5 on points difference. It could even be 2 clubs that miss out on points difference. So the worry for me from a Warrington point of view is not whether they can win this game, because I actually think that there should be a cup hangover. I think it's a scandal that being asked to play.
Yeah, it's a disgrace.
And I actually think that the one game they would have picked that they didn't want to play was going to Salford.
Second highest point scoring Super League, Salford.
Yeah, and I think Salford will be rubbing their hands together, putting all the welcome mats out there, and well done.
Yeah. Here's a few bottles of beer.
Round of applause. Guard of honour, whatever you like. You're great. Well done. And then they'll beat them by 20 points, and that will narrow the gap between the two, so that the final 2 matches, everything's on the line.
Okay, very good. Where are you going, Rich?
I'm going to go with Warrington, just to upset the Salford fans. No, I'm going to go with Warrington anyway. It's a difficult one to tear apart anyway, isn't it? Toby asked the question about where Jack Hughes should play following Ben Westwood's retirement, whether he should move to loose forward next year and Ben Merton was still in the second row. We'll answer that next week, Toby.
I don't think Warrington have finished recruiting for next year.
There you go. I'm just going to go with Warrington for the fact that they've just turned up for training on Wednesday. They'll be euphoric. They'll still have that adrenaline coursing through their veins. I've got a clue. Not that's all for the bad. Let's go for Warrington by 8.
Huge game for Salford. They've beaten Warrington twice already against the odds. You'd say everything's in their favour to win again, but you've still got to go win. And I think what Warrington did at the weekend is show they're no pushovers. When they turn up and play, they will more than likely win. However, I just think it's so bad that they're playing on Thursday, having played on Saturday, and I think Salford rejuvenate. Probably had a few bumps and bruises, a few more than even we knew about or suspected they may have. So Ian Blease, so Jackson Hastings, so all the other Salford fans that come out and moan every time I don't say you're going to win. I'm going to say you're going to win this week, right? And if you don't win, I'll see you next Monday, right here, 6 o'clock, on this show. I want an apology of every single one of you. Salford to win. But it'll be tight. I'm going Salford by 8. Hull FC against Crisis Club, Huddersfield Giants, Gary Schofield. Surely only one outcome. But the last time these 2 teams met, Huddersfield won 55-2.
Gary Schofield derby.
You just... Oh, please. I don't know where it's...
Walked out on one club, sacked by the other.
Signed for a fortune by the other.
Honestly,
Did they keep the receipt?
What a load of toss. But I'm going to say, I don't know which fans hate me most, so the Giants ones are black and white.
No, you're the king of Hull now. You're the new king of Hull.
All right, okay. But I would imagine Radders, he will be mentioning that, it was absolutely diabolical performance, wasn't it, at Liverpool from there. He'll want the response on what happened at home Salford 2 weeks ago. I can't have the Giants whatsoever. I feel sorry for Simon Wolford. He doesn't have a clue what his best side. I don't have a clue where to play his best players. There's no combinations from there. The confidence is shot. Radders will want a reaction. He knows that points difference is massive for this top 5, because when you look at it, they're minus 66. He will want an avalanche of points on Friday night, and I think they'll get it. He will want the response what happened, Salford, and I'm going for the black and white to easily beat the Giants, and I'm going to beat them by 32 points.
Come Friday night, Hull could be second, and I think Lee Radford knows that every time they get in a position where they can lay down a marker, they haven't, and they're now running out of time. If they seriously look at possibly getting to Old Trafford, this is a game that they can't even think about not winning. They're playing a team that has no confidence, that doesn't know their best selection, who, for whatever reason, the coach is pulling his hair out because they're doing it in training but they can't do it on the field. Forget that magic weekend result, other than Hull will use it for motivation, because I don't think Huddersfield can get back to that level with where they are at the moment. I think Hull will win this. I think they'll win it relatively comfortably, possibly by, what did you say, 24?
32.
I'll go 24.
I'm going to go slightly more. So this is that nailed on Huddersfield win now, isn't it? Hull are good, but inconsistent because they, the league table says that. Huddersfield are not very good, but they're also inconsistent because I was there when they scored 50 odd points against them at Anfield, and I still don't know how that happened. Hull by 28.
Week off's come at a good time for Huddersfield. Probably needed it mentally more than... I think if they'd have played last week, they could have been playing West Wales Raiders last week. I think they'd have had all on to beat them. Sorry to our listeners at West Wales Raiders. But I just think mentally they're frazzled. And I think maybe a few days away from them will do them good. They'll keep it tight. They'll try and grind out a victory. I think it'll be really tight, this one. I'm not convinced at the minute by Hull. Again, I stand to be corrected. They might come out and win easy. I don't think they will win easy. I think Huddersfield, right, have got to be smart. And if they get beat by 12, not by 32. Because if they get beat by 32, then you're in trouble. Yeah. So you're almost now... They are in danger, points difference. They get a shellacking this week, they're in big trouble. That'll be on their minds. Don't get beaten by a lot. I'm going to go Hull, but I'm going to go Hull by 8. Right, St Helens hangover from the cup final in the fact that they didn't turn up against the Castleford Tigers. And you're looking at there, what have they got? Hull and Wigan to come. Is it must win for Castleford?
There's no doubt about it, and also as well Castleford and certainly the coach Daryl Clark would have been wanting to play St Helens side. I'm going to hang over from the Challenge Cup where they would have been full of alcohol rather than feeling sorry for themselves after the way they played on Saturday against Warrington. So psychologically now for both coaches, Holbrook, he'll want the reaction from that defeat. It doesn't matter now about the Hudcap, does it, because the way clear from there, but he'll want the reaction, they want to respond to, want to make sure that the confidence is getting back into his players, but it's not a result what Castleford would have wanted. And certainly when I saw him against Huddersfield just over 10 days ago, wasn't convincing. Saints will want the reaction. I think they'll get it. I don't think Daryl's lot are up to beating St Helens on Friday night. I'm going Saints by 16. Saints
being presented with a league leaders shield.
Well done, lads.
The only thing
you might as well say to Warrington, can we borrow? You're not playing Friday, lads. Can we borrow the Challenge Cup? And it'll be like Jim Bowen on Bullseye. They'll have two blokes with brown coats on pushing the Challenge Cup off and going, "Here's your bendy bully, lads. This legally, here's your bendy bully, lads. And your bus fare on. Get yourself off."
The St Helens players on Friday night will do to that Hudcap what they did to their medals when they got home. Just put it in the...
Well, they under-celebrated last year. I think they'll even under-celebrate even more this time.
I think the only thing they can do is put in a winning performance to make that presentation have any meaning whatsoever. The only way you can hit back on the huge disappointment of not winning a major trophy, and I do think the League Leaders Shield should be classed as a major trophy. Whether it is or not is a debate for another day. And I think they have to put in a performance. They have to rid themselves as quickly as possible from the thought, as you said at the beginning of the programme, do they bottle the big games? They need to re-establish themselves as a team that are worthy of being 16 points clear at the top. And I know that Liam Watts might be fit, and he was initially ruled out for the entire season. If he plays That's a massive boost for Castleford. But I just think Castle are a bit busted this year. This isn't their year. I don't think they're playing as well as Salford are. I think they are one of the teams that are going to miss out on the 5. I'm going to go Saints by 12.
I've just watched myself lift the league leader shield. I'm going to turn that into a gif. It was wonderful. It looked like a right prat.
I think we've got more examples of that, mate, don't
well,
we?
yeah. Jason says Cass haven't won since 1992 at Saints and won't happen this week either. And I tend to agree. Sadly, their season is in danger of fizzling out somewhat. They're relying on the women to win everything. Are the Castleford Tigers, bar the Challenge Cup? Yeah, don't mention that. The Leeds people will be excited again. St Helens to lift the league leader shield in style by seeing off the Castleford Tigers on the telly by 6 points.
Cass never win at Saints, and the thing in me says they're not going to win again. But again, we don't know what will happen to Salford on Thursday. If Salford get beat, the door's open for Castleford.
Absolutely.
I think Castleford's running is too great. I think it's going to be I just think it's going to be a horrible night for Saints because they could win by 50 and everyone will go on going, "Oh, we didn't win last week, did we?" It's just a game they don't want.
But they have to re-establish their credentials.
Well, they do, but Castleford have got to win to save their season. I think Cass are going to win. I think Saints. I think they were that bad at the weekend. I don't think there'll be a lot of soul searching going on there. How can we be so good one week, so bad the week after? Cass have got to win. I'm going Cass. Golden point to give it the most naff League Leaders Shield celebration ever. Cass to win in Golden Point by 1. Catalans Hull KR. This is a huge game. If Hull KR could have picked a team to go play this week, I reckon it would have been the Dragons. The Dragons ain't no good at the moment. Despite that, if they win, well, they won't be in the top 5 this week because their points difference is so bad. But they will still be in the mix for the top 5. It's must win, I think, for both teams. Where are you going, Schoey?
It is a must win, but Catalans, I'm not having them. I'm just not having the attitude of the players. I'm just not having the sort of pride that they don't have in that Catalan jersey. And I think Ulkis Rovers, you just mentioned it there, Mark. If they could have picked anybody to go away from home, it would be the Dragons. And I think Hull KR, the pressure's off them a little bit because they're not playing at home. I don't think they can handle the pressure of being at home from there. I think they'll be more relaxed. They'll enjoy the way that Tony just wants to play from there. And I think they will beat the Dragons. I'm just not having the Dragons from a point of view where I think they've chucked it in. They've got the Factor 6 on, they've got the King Edwards out, they couldn't care less about the rest of the season from what I've seen so far. Ulkis Rovers will get a performance. I think the Rovers can beat them by 10.
I think the interesting thing that you picked up on there was that Hull KR are a very different team away from home with no pressure. They know that next week they've arguably got their cup final coming up. And if they could go into that game on the back of a morale-boosting win, then that takes a little bit of the pressure off next week when they play London. So I think that, as you've said before, they need to recreate what they did at Leeds. Move the ball around, run a big team around, probably in the sun, which they haven't done since that game at Headingley. Play without any expectation of winning, and they'll probably win. I think Rovers can win this. I also think that if Catalan were to lose, there'd be some real pressure on. The amount of games they've lost this year at home, particularly to teams lower down in the league, that if on the back of having lost at home to London, they then lose at home to Hull KR, I think there'll be a serious implication for the Dragons. But I think Rovers will do it by 2.
We're in danger of getting the light meters out here and having to go off because it's getting dark. So, Richard.
Well, I'm going to keep our friend Sid happy because I think he wants us to tip against Hull KR. And I'm going to go with the Catalan Dragons for no apparent reason. And I accept the fact, because I watched them the other week against London on Saturday, they were crap. I saw them live in the flesh against Leeds. They were terrible. But Hull KR, well, Wakefield beat them. Hull KR at Leeds.
Wakefield battered him, Rich.
Yeah, Catalans by 4.
Will the real Catalan Dragons please stand up? Will the real Hull KR please stand up? Hull KR were shell-shocked to that performance against Wakefield. Do Catalan Dragons want it or not? Or are they playing to get their coach sacked? Because that's how they've played the last 2 weeks. I just can't tip Hull KR. I actually said out of the 3 games they've got left,
Draw.
I think this is the one that they're more likely to win. But I can't bring myself, and I certainly won't put any money on them to win. Although I'm saying I won't put any money on Catalans. But I think Catalans will turn up this week. I think Hull KR are in big trouble. I think I'll go Dragons by 7. Right, on to Sunday, London Leeds will be there for TalkSport 2. That game is live on TalkSport 2. London against Leeds. Gary, where are you going?
I think this is the game of the round. I do, honestly, and I say London again. If they do win, then they bring Leeds back into them. I don't. This is why I'm saying it's the game of the round. Both teams have had the week off. Leeds after that defeat, big defeat against St Helens, the Broncos. Brilliant performance over there in France from there. Plenty of confidence from there. Boy, oh boy. London beat us at Leeds, didn't they? But I just feel as though Leeds, well, they both need the points, don't they? Boy, oh boy. This could go down to golden point, because what was it? It was only 18-16 Headley, wasn't it, the last time? This could go to golden point. That's how close this could be. I'm going Leeds, and I'm going Leeds by golden point. I can't go any further, to be honest with you. I can't. This is the game of the round for me.
London won by 2 points at Heading, and Leeds won by 2 points at the Magic Weekend. There's nothing between these two teams. They're both desperate. Whatever happens, it's not the end of the road for London if they lose.
No, it's not. Not far
because
from
they
it.
put themselves in a position
Far
where
from
with
it.
The final 2 games that they've got, they're in the masters of their own destiny. Leeds will finally banish mathematically relegation if they win. I think from the amount of training that they've done over a period where there was going to be time off, that Leeds are taking this game incredibly seriously. I think you're right, it'll be close. I think it'll be high scoring on that pitch. I'm going to go Leeds by 4, as everybody would expect me to say.
Who do I want to win? I think Leeds are going to win. And I'm saying this for the reasons that I can use this as psychologically, that I'm saying they'll win and then London win and they get back in the mess. And it's good to see it's on radio, because last time we didn't choose to do Wakefield versus Wigan on the radio at home. It ended in a big Wakefield win. Leeds by 6, not that.
Last time London got themselves where they were off the bottom, they had a really poor spell. They've made it a 3-game season. Leeds back-to-back wins over poor teams, look great. Played a good team last time, looked pretty shambolic, to be fair. The one worry I've got is I think Leeds at the minute feel they can score some points, and I think that's bad news for London. I've got a feeling it's going down to the wire, last game of the season. I think Leeds will make themselves safe this week. I don't like to say it, but does it come to a point where if London are getting beat, they go, right, sod it, next week. We've got to win next week now. And I think that could happen. I'm going to go Leeds by 18. Last game of the Super League weekend sees Wakefield will give themselves a Super League lifeline by beating Hull KR last time. They take on a rampant Wigan who could end the weekend second.
Yeah, well, Wakefield, they're delighted, aren't they? What they've done, 1 win in 12. Yeah, loads of consistency there, aren't they? They were absolutely ecstatic by beating a very, very poor and very ordinary Ilkeston Rover side, weren't they? Absolutely delighted, Wakefield, yeah. Brilliant, 1 in 12. Congratulations. You're going to be playing a proper side on Sunday. That's the Wigan Warriors, and they want to be making sure that they've got a couple of injuries, but they want to keep this roll going. And if they can do, they want to make sure that they can finish in second spot. I don't think there's any problem with Wigan Warriors' attitude. They'll go there with the right attitude. They want to make sure they will want to mix it against Wakefield. I can only see one winner, and that's the Warriors, and it's the Warriors by 16 for me.
I think that the team that will have got the most confidence out of what happened at Wembley on Saturday is Wigan. I think they will look at that and go, there is nobody that we need to fear, not that we feared anybody anyway, but if we can get ourselves into the right frame of mind and form going into the semis, nobody will want to play us. To do that, they have to win at places like Wakefield, where they don't have a brilliant record recently, taking a couple of fearful hammerings. But I just think that there's a groove that Wigan are in at the moment, and I'm not sure that Wakefield are at that level. I think it goes back to what you said about when Leeds faced a really good team, they couldn't handle it. I think the teams at the bottom, when they face the best teams, are not good enough. I'm going Wigan by 12.
The game earlier in the season was in the balance until David Fafita turned things around by marauding down the wing and setting up an amazing try. But unfortunately, Big Dave is not playing because he's broken. Wigan are the 2020 Super League champions. You heard it here last week.
2020?
2020, yeah. They will be next year's champions.
What about this year? You predicted them this year as well.
Yeah, but I'm going early for next year as well. Even though we don't know what's happening in Super League next year because they haven't released any dates, and they will beat Wakefield in the Henry Paul derby, the best of the Paul brothers, by 12 points.
I've watched Wigan last few weeks. Said to you, well, I think we were there about 7, 8 weeks ago. We said the champions are back, they're alive and kicking. They've had the week off. Everything says they should win and win really easily. I just think the pressure valve's been lifted at Wakefield. They might well know, well, they will know pretty much. A win could keep them safe. I think they'll get it. I think the real Wakefield will turn up this weekend. There were signs in that performance last week or 2 weeks ago of the team we expected to finish fifth. They've got a good record. They've got good memories against Wigan. It's not going to be easy. I think Wakey are going to do it. I think they will secure their Super League status. It won't be the end of the road for Wigan. I fully expect them to go on and make the grand final. But I think 10 out of 11 or something. I think there might be a blip in the road, and I think it might be this week. I'm going Wakefield.
Do you want to tell them Bilko's stat?
Yes, you tell. Read it out because we didn't get it.
Bilko's stat. All of the last 6 cup winners have lost the following league game, but Warrington did back up and win in the league in the last 2 times they were at Wembley in 2012 and 2010.
There you go. There you go. Thanks to Gary. Don't turn up like that next week, son. Whatever you do.
We'll get to the Royal
Someone said it looks like the Royal Family. Jim Royal's on. My ass.
So that could have gone worse.
Thanks to Gary. Thanks to Phil. Thanks to you for watching. Download the podcast. Thanks for getting in touch. Thanks to Rich as ever. And remember, be nice on social media. Sick of it. Be nice.